Hello, hockey world. How's it going? Welcome to the day after the UFA day or night. This is used to be the day everything happens, but man, last night that totally took everyone by surprise.
Well, I said this in our chat last night. The NHL is becoming the NBA. Everything is leaking out 24 hours early, and usually it's dead on. But we won't know officially until after 12 noon. But that's the way it's becoming. There's that window in the NBA. They have a window of I think 4 or 5 days. And it's not a negotiating window. It's like basically the deals can be done, but they don't announce them until say July 5th or something like that. And it's getting to be that way, although it was only 24 hours, Zach. I think that a lot of stuff broke last night that's going to end up happening at 12 noon.
Yeah. I do want to say Happy Canada Day. I did make some maple iced tea. So there you go.
Yeah, no. Happy Canada Day for sure. I agree. I think what we're looking at is just a matter of like one of these crazy situations where we have so many dominoes in place that they almost have to happen like this. Like there's so many things that are depending on other things that I felt like, this is inevitable that we would get this kind of a day. And I thought it was inevitable that they would happen. Listen, I was surprised. I was really more surprised than anything else, I think, that we found out like actual salary numbers and stuff like that last night. That was really something the NHL did.
Yeah, we usually don't get that precise. You're right.
Yeah, the NHL did not want that to happen. And I heard this from people because I put out the Bobrovsky numbers and I heard it right away from the NHL. Like that's something that they did not. And yet, as a reporter, they're not mad at you. They sit there and say, if someone told you that's
what can they do?
That's your job. No, they can't do anything. And if someone told you, because my family was like immediately freaking out. I'm like, no, you gotta, this is what you do. This is what you do. This is how it works. It doesn't matter if they're mad. They're not mad at me really. They're mad at who gave me the information.
Right.
But at that point, and at the end of the day, no one really cares. But everyone tries to care. Everyone pretends to care a little bit.
Right.
And it'll matter until the next thing happens a few minutes from now. And it didn't even matter that long, honestly, because before you could even blink, Pavelski's numbers were out there, and then something else, So it's just like, it's interesting how that played out for sure. I thought it was one of the more fascinating nights. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I just Russ put something in our chat that I thought was pretty hilarious from Hunter Dietz. If Russ Cohen isn't at X House, who's going to give us a live look at X ice rink, raccoons, and all?
Oh man, that's true.
Hunter, tip of the hat there.
That's like a trade deadline thing, Hunter.
Yes,
we do this day from the beach.
Yep.
This is the beach today. And it's funny. I could take you for a live view. Maybe later I thought maybe next year, if we get enough people on Patreon, we should have a thing where next year we do this on the beach in a gazebo and invite people down for it.
Nobody wants to see me in shorts.
No, but that would be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun.
I would do it
because Margate, the beach isn't too crowded, and we could have a lot of hockey fans who are around here for sure that could come in.
We should do it. Heck, I want to answer Julian's question. He wants you to answer it. You could answer it after. Could you elaborate on the Druin for Aho rumor? Yes, I can. It's stupid if they do it. The floor is yours.
It's stupid for Carolina to do it.
Yes.
No, obviously not.
But let's just say that is consistent with most of the things that Carolina has done over the last few weeks. They are operating.
That is the only reason I put it out there because you're right, Mike.
It's baffling. It really is baffling how this team, everything was positive. They go to the conference finals, and it almost seems like a systematic, demolishing of what they let go the Calder Cup winning head coach who gets gobbled up in about 5 seconds after they agree to part ways. What was it, Russ? The goaltending coach is gone. The scouting director is gone.
Scouting director retired. Another scout left.
That's not the whole trade. Just to kind of clarify, there would be more to it than that, but
sure,
that would be the gist of it. As far as players go,
let's even talk about it. They re-signed John Forsland, right?
Right.
Was this a tough negotiation? Like, was this? You know what I mean? Like, could this have been a tough negotiation?
Could they put him under the salary cap?
I mean, come on.
Was this a multi-year deal or a 1-year deal?
I don't know.
With performance bonuses included.
Yeah.
All right. I
mean, Ferland's out there too. That's another one that no one's talked about really. And I'm sure we'll get into Michael Ferland.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So let's pull up what they got for that Ferland trade and what's actually going in that trade and what's actually staying with Carolina.
It's one guy, Dougie Hamilton.
That's it.
Right, and that's it.
And you gave up an 80-point guy. Did Lindholm have 80 points? I think he did.
Close to it.
I mean,
Lindholm and Hannafin is both of them are locked up on reasonable long-term deals. Hamilton, I think, has 2 years left at $6.5 million.
Yeah. Adam
Fox will be playing at MSG this year,
right?
And Ferland at parts unknown. So that's a real good deal there, folks. For one of the GM nominees of the year.
That's a rough one for sure. There's a couple other rough ones. Are you ready yet to go to say Panarin to the Islanders, Russ?
I'm not yet. I know I should be because everybody.
Well, no, I'm not. I totally respect that because I am not yet ready to say Duchene to the Predators. So, like, for what it's worth, like everybody out there is saying, and I know a lot of great people are saying Duchene to the Predators.
Yeah. I just until I see the Islanders actually spend the money, because look, even with John Tavares, they didn't spend the money because he didn't take it. So all it was an offer. I've been a Met fan too long where I've heard offers being made, but it didn't matter because the guy went somewhere else. So to me, it's on paper offer. You never had to execute it. You never had to pay it. And so right now, it's nice to say Panarin's in the running, but it's not costing the Islanders anything.
Well, Peter, this has got to send a shiver down your spine because I mean, right now it looks like it's Panarin, either Islanders, Rangers, maybe outside chance of Panthers, but that seems to have gone by the wayside. The last night the Blue Jackets supposedly came out with this big offer, but we don't.
We'll talk about that in a second too.
We don't know if that was actually for real. But the one but we'll talk about it. But the one that caught my attention was the Colorado Avalanche getting in on Panarin. And I mean, as somebody who's following the Winnipeg Jets in that division, get Panarin going to Colorado to go along with Rantanen, Landeskog, and McKinnon. That would be a scary proposition, and Peter, go ahead.
Sorry,
now, what do you think?
I honestly think, and I'll throw this out there about that. Colorado and Joe Sakic have sort of every team has its own like MO and their own attitude. The Colorado attitude is that we are going to be really, really good, and if you want to come to a team that's going to be really, really good, come to us. And that's the attitude that they're throwing out there, for sure. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Rightly so. They're doing a good job.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. So
I mean, things like, if you're talking about Lee and Aho and all these things, Mike, they don't really make I don't think they make the Jets nervous. I think what it is they make one team's mistake does not always give someone else leverage, because there are players and stuff who understand the situation they're in and what makes things work. And there's other sort of reasons why a player like Lee would go and seek out money, because someone's dumb enough to overpay him for that. So it doesn't mean that everyone else is. But I mean, yes, when the market starts rising and everything floats a bit, yeah, it's going to cost you more money. And again, I've always said this: you want to set your market price, not let someone else set it for you.
Following up on what you were talking about, Pierre LeBrun just tweeted, Carolina got calls from 3 different teams on Aho, hinting at an offer sheet. Waddell told them they would match any offer sheet. Carolina did say they would entertain trade conversation, believes that Montreal is among 3 teams who called. So, I mean, honestly, what is he, Russ? He's 21 years old, 22 at the most.
Who are we talking about?
Aho.
22, I think.
And he had a monster year, and a lot of people.
One of the 15 best players in the league, I think.
All right, so whenever we get an offer sheet rumor, I'm going to put up the narwhal of offer sheets behind me here. So you guys can know that.
What is this, the movie Orca?
This is a narwhal, like it's like the great white whale, but it's a narwhal. So that's meaning an offer sheet rumor is out there. Yeah, that's why I tried to beat you to it, Mike. But yeah, you're right.
There you go.
No. It's very it's fascinating to me. That's like
honestly, the offer sheet,
crazy.
the offer sheet over the last couple weeks has become, to use an archaic reference, it's become the sword of Damocles being held over the head of all these teams.
That's really old, Mike.
Yeah, but it's like you won't trade off. We're going to put our offer sheet.
I like a good old fashioned Damocles reference. Come on now.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. That's all it is. I seriously doubt, as for all this offer sheet crap that we've heard over the last couple of weeks, that any of them are going to get offered. It's just a weapon. It's leverage.
And that's what it is in Carolina and Montreal. That's what I've been told, that they are talking about a trade. And when they're saying, we're not going to offer sheet him, or we could offer sheet him, but we're not. Then that's all we talked about before. That offer sheets would have if they would have any semblance at all, that's what they would be.
Can we talk about a potential trade? And I don't know what the trade partners would be, but I'm going to guess Gostisbehere would have to be in this one. Is it possible that the Flyers are going to try and acquire Michael Granlund from the Predators? Because honestly, if you think about it, there's not enough Minnesota presence on the Flyers right now, even though they did just re-sign Nick Schultz. I say re-sign because he was a Flyer once, but he was a Wild player once. He's a coach there now. They drafted some Minnesotans in the draft. I mean, it probably would make sense if they get one in free agency now too.
Maybe
they'll I don't know. The funny thing I'm going to put in the rumor tracker in a second, because I just got a text on this one, is I've heard the Flyers are after Girardi. Check that out. Now that's like a defenseman again, which seems to not make a ton of sense. Hold on one second.
Well, if it's a 1-year deal,
it's a 1-year deal. I could see Dan Girardi actually.
He's a right hand shot. Like I wrote on the weekend about like 7 sort of older players who might be willing to take 1-year contracts to play for Toronto in the wake of Kyle Dubas's comment that he was going to go looking for short-term deals, veteran minimums, that type of thing. One of the guys I named was Spezza, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Though another one was Girardi, because Girardi is from Ontario. He is a right-hand shot. He's probably not going to get big money. He's willing to take a 1-year deal to continue his career. A lot of teams out there on a 1-year proposition would take Dan Girardi. So I have
a scoop on Dan Girardi for this. Okay. So back in the outdoor game, when Philly was playing the Rangers, whatever year that was, 14, 12, I don't remember, for the Winter Classic, it was out here, and I was in the locker room kind of early with the Rangers, and Dan Girardi was scarfing down cheesesteaks, and he said he really loves the cheesesteaks here. So there you go.
Peter, what you just
well, maybe that could happen. I mean, this is the one thing I'll say about Girardi is, obviously, again, the Flyers bringing in a defensive defenseman. And if they are going to move something, that would mean, if I've heard that defense is their priority today, and that just is that the Flyers defense is their priority today. So to me, that also does scream out a trade. Like that screams out.
Oh, we've heard Nate Prosser, who again is another Minnesota Wild guy. So we've heard that.
Right, another one. Yeah, exactly.
So Peter, there's reports out there that Jonas Donskoy is going to Colorado.
Andy Strickland just tweeted a few minutes ago, and he was saying in the $3.5 million per year for 3 years range, which is a great signing for the Avs. Considering the amount of cap room they have and such, that fits right in with their wheelhouse. I think the Avs still have other work to do.
Well,
that's certainly a good addition to them.
Well, they cleared out the salary of Soderberg, so they clearly are looking for secondary offense. Because last year, you had the Kerfoots and you had some of their, Tyson Jost, and but they were really hurting in the playoffs, other than Rantanen and McKinnon and Landeskog. So they really need to add add some secondary offense. And Donskoy is a third liner. I don't think that's a bad price for a third line winger.
No, it's a good price. And actually, if you think about it, if they get really good goaltending in a couple of years, Colorado could be a Stanley Cup contender.
Now let's go through.
Don't gloss that over, because 2 years
I
ago,
really think you're right, and that's what they think.
Years ago, the world was coming down on Joe Sakic, except for a few of us, and everybody was like, "What the hell is he doing?" And now everybody should be like, look what the hell Joe Sakic's doing.
Yeah, well, I think the worm turned when he made the deal with Ottawa and Nashville. I mean, ever since getting that pick and getting Girard for a guy in Matt Duchene who didn't want to be there anymore. I mean, I think the opinion of Sakic as a really good general manager in this league has changed. Now, all right, while Eck is off here, let's go through some of the trades that happened on the weekend here, because we talked about Kessel in Arizona for months, and finally it happens on the weekend. Hey, Anthony, how's it going?
Hey, guys.
Finally on the weekend it happens where Kessel is traded along with an AHL player or minor league or a prospect named Dane Burks, going to Pittsburgh for Alex Galchenyuk and former first-round pick Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Now, I don't know. I think this is, clearly Kessel managed this situation. He blocked the trade to Minnesota. He wanted to go to Arizona. That we know the reasons why, because Rick Tocchet is there. Because honestly, I think Arizona is a perfect fit for Phil Kessel because he'll be off the radar and he doesn't want to be on the radar. Now I don't know how good this is for Pittsburgh. Russ, do you think Galchenyuk can succeed in Pittsburgh? I mean, what was your opinion of the?
Yeah, he's definitely an upgrade from Brassard. Brassard was truly done.
Well, it sounds like they're going to play him on the wing, though. They're not going to.
And that's fine. If they do that, he's still fast. He's still got a lot of skill. So I think there he could really put up a 50-point season if things go right. I do. So I think that's good. As far as Arizona goes, they're going to score more goals. Are they better in net? I don't know. Is Darcy Kempner their guy?
Oh, I'm trying to mute Peter here. Hold on. There we go.
Mike, is Darcy Kempner their number one?
No, Ranta.
Ranta's still around? I thought Ranta was only a 2-year deal. I guess it was more. So I'm still skeptical about their goaltending, but other things on Arizona is improving except for that.
Yeah, I think that this deal could be good for Pittsburgh if Galchenyuk finds a level of consistency that he hasn't had in the last few years. Playing with either Crosby or Malkin, he should be able to get back to 25 to 30 goals. I see why Arizona does this deal because I think they're looking for the consistent offense that Kessel will bring, and Kessel is somebody who's in the lineup every day, and probably if they play him. That's a question of will they play him with Stepan? Will they play him with Clayton Keller? Who will they play him with? But if they put him with somebody who's a playmaking center, then I think Kessel could see no drop off and play and score 25 to 30 goals. So
I think you got to put him with Keller because I think you've got to see what you could create top line there to put some fear into the opposition. I think if Arizona can do that. Their defense is definitely getting better, but again, I'm still a little worried about their goaltending.
Well, there's a reason.
No, you should be. I think you should be. They actually might be signing somebody today as a goalie. Not
Okay.
Well, they had Calvin Pickard last year, and apparently he's going to sign. To talk about dysfunction, Calvin Pickard's going to sign with Detroit, and now Detroit has got 3 veteran guys in Bernier, who's got 2 years left. Jimmy Howard's got 1 year left, and now they're signing. The reports are they're going to sign Calvin Pickard.
It's a weird combo. It's a weird.
Yeah, for a team that most people think is not a playoff team.
Think about this for a second.
Okay,
there's some weird things going on, like the Talbot, who the Flyers won't sign, right? Because they feel like, he's not as good as Brian Elliott. Talbot is picked up by the best team in the Western Conference, the Calgary Flames, right?
Cheaper rate.
For 1 year. For 1 year.
Oh, for 1 year, yeah. But don't you think Talbot would have taken that rate in Philly?
Wait, what did he get? 275 or 175?
275.
Oh, it was 275, so it was a little more.
But with
Yeah,
more
but-
of a guarantee the starting opportunity.
Right.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, that obviously is a big deal. Like he knows he's going to start there, but that is the other thing. He knows he's going to start on the best team in the Western Conference. Okay.
Right.
This is the guy the Flyers just let go. Okay.
And he gets to stick it to his former team, who he's going to be playing out against.
And then of course the guy from Calgary goes to Edmonton. So
yeah, and all
Battle of Alberta is like.
Yeah,
I mean, the Bruins let Martin Jones go too. I mean, it happens.
They got something for him though.
A little bit. They got like a second-round pick, I think.
Okay.
I mean, this guy, they just literally they had him here. He's friends with Carter Hart. The whole thing was set up, and they decided to not do it. And yet, the best team in the Western Conference last year, as far as records go, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Calgary Flames, who really don't. I mean, they got great goaltending in the playoffs. That wasn't the issue in the playoffs for them. That's not why they got kicked out. Right? That's not why they got beaten by Colorado. They just got beaten by a good team.
It makes no sense.
And then Calvin Pickard, another guy who was, I think, one of the Flyers' 12 goalies that played last year, whatever, right? Signs with the other could sign with the other one of the other best teams in the Western Conference. I mean,
no. He's going to sign with
it's Detroit. He's in Detroit.
Detroit. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you guys said Colorado. I apologize.
No,
still,
Detroit.
Okay, that makes more sense. I have heard Tyson Barrie to Detroit. By the way, that's something I just heard. Tyson Barrie will be traded today.
Elliot Friedman just reporting Andres Sekera, who got bought out by Edmonton yesterday, will sign with Dallas.
Yep.
Yeah.
1.5 million with a $500,000 potential bonus.
I don't know. Didn't they learn from Mark Mathot? Like sometimes you get these injured guys and they get more injured.
Yeah.
At 1.5 million though, Russ.
Yeah, but it's not free. Like at some point,
that's pretty close to free for
yeah.
No, but
they can't. What do you want? Just
please.
I mean, that's pretty close. That you're talking about a 5th, 6th, 7th money defenseman there on a guy who actually, if he's healthy for 12 games a year, you're lucky. But if he is healthy, he's pretty good still.
He's going to be on the bottom. He's going to be on the bottom pairing with Roman Polak. I mean, it's Lindell, Klingberg, Heiskanen, Honka, and now Sekera and Polak. That's not bad.
Not bad as a third. If you're going a third pairing, you could do a lot worse. I think that's fine. I think it's a good signing by Dallas there.
I mean, he hasn't played
one other thing from Dallas. John Stevens is officially hired as assistant coach there now.
Just good. But here, Sekera hasn't stayed healthy. We're going on 3 years now. He hasn't had a goal in 3 years, going on 4 years until he plays this year. He's had 12 points in total. Like, I don't know what we're paying for here.
Potential.
It's ridiculousness. You're better off. This is where I don't understand bringing some guys like this on because it's like, well, hey, he's a veteran. We can plug him in, and he'll be hurt in three or 4 weeks.
Maybe. Russ,
you can send.
Sekera's.
Oh God.
I actually had Sekera down as someone the Jets might take a look at for depth, simply because if you can get him on a 1-year deal affordable, he fits in with playing in a 5-6 role that doesn't hamstring you on a cap hit. And
how many games you get on him for, Peter? You're plugging him in.
That's the risk. That's the risk. But there's risk with everything, right? I'd rather risk a guy at 1.5 million or whatever than going in 3 years on someone else and then having them turn out to be a total bust and hurt your cap.
I mean, Sekera will look great for like 10 games and then he'll get hurt. That's what he's going to do.
Now, I'd like to know that one, Ralph. I'd like to congratulate Chris Dredger, the goaltender in the Florida Panthers organization, who right now is the only goalie left until they
like Dredger a little bit. I remember.
You'll love this, Mike. I have a rumor I saved just for you.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna love this more than anything you've heard all day.
Okay.
Who did they went? They went out and they got. So Florida traded their goalie,
Reimer
to Carolina. You know who else Carolina is looking at in our trade rumor? Jonathan Bernier. I swear to God, I couldn't make this up.
Oh my God.
It is possible.
Seriously.
It is, and I'm dead serious on this one. This comes from, we all know a guy on here, right, that we know pretty well who's very tied in with the Detroit Red Wings. This comes from that person, right?
Okay.
So it is possible that the Carolina Hurricanes could go into next year with the dreaded Bernier-Reimer connection.
Oh my God, that's a fate worse than death.
It's possible.
Well, I mean, especially with Detroit. Okay.
Oh, we are joined by Karine.
Hey, Karine.
Hello.
Hey, Karine, how you doing?
Hi, Karen.
Pretty good, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Ups and downs. Karine's the Montreal blogger for us. I think you met everybody maybe except for Anthony.
Oh yeah, no, she was on last year.
Hi.
Cool.
We are getting a little bit of an echo from somebody though.
Excellent. Yeah, we might need you to put headphones on there, Karine, or something, because we might get a little echo with you.
Okay, I'll try to find something. Hang on.
No problem. I'll mute you for the time being. All right.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Well,
yes, this is possible, Mike. I didn't even want to post this. I wanted your reaction. I wanted to tell you first before I post this.
No, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, the funny thing is that as soon as the trade was made yesterday, Reimer for Darling, it came out that said, well, Reimer may not be staying in Carolina very long. And
I think the chances are that Reimer won't be there if they go out and get Bernier, but they are looking at Bernier as an actual.
But they're supposedly trying to bring back Mrazek, but Mrazek wants more money. McElhinney apparently is the reports are he's going to Tampa Bay to be Vasilevsky's backup, which I was a little surprised at because Louis Domingue played so well for them as the number 2. But
sure,
yeah, but I just think, I mean, honestly, if Carolina is going to depend on Jonathan Bernier or James Reimer to be their number 1, they're not making the playoffs. They're not. They simply are not.
No, I would not think so.
Now,
Jonathan Bernier, to be fair, had a good year last year.
Sure.
He really did. Now, I think he's a reasonable goalie for them to go get, but the humor of it is that they have Reimer as well, right?
Right. But all right, so you get Bernier, but again, when's the last time he's had the load of being a starter added to his shoulder? It's been a while.
No, it has been a while, yeah.
Well, let me ask Karine about the transactions that the Canadiens made yesterday, because I thought one of them was fairly interesting and a little surprising. Karine, I could not believe that Mark Bergevin could get 3 draft picks for Andrew Shaw. That was a coup.
That was quite a return, actually, because considering his concussion history and all that, I was just amazed. And what's really interesting is that Chicago said they called early in the week to try and get Shaw, and Bergevin said he wasn't available. So something has got to have happened between the point where Chicago called the first time and the second time to make Bergevin move Shaw. I don't know what it is. I mean, yesterday I was like, oh my God, Duchene's coming. Seems he's not. But surely he didn't move Shaw on a maybe. I don't think it's going to be an offer sheet either. He's not really the gamble guy type. Right. So,
well, between that deal and the deal where they traded Delorier to Anaheim, they clear almost $5 million in cap space. So we had heard the connection of Duchene to Montreal, which I think it's going to be Nashville.
I mean, it really sounds like it's going to be Nashville. But can I talk about this for a second while we're here? It really, I mean, honestly, I've been talking all week about, that this isn't a done deal by any stretch of imagination. There are split decisions within Nashville about Duchene, and, it depends which way it goes. Poyle's the one person that never tells you what he's thinking. So perhaps the fact that if he signs there, we just know that Poyle's the only one that matters, because there were some other people who are pretty high up there that weren't sold on it. But I also know that I was going back and forth with Paul McCann last night, just joking around, because he doesn't know. No one knows what's going on. Honestly, no one has any idea, because Poyle doesn't tell anybody anything.
Right.
But and I said, can we try to remember the last rumors that were broken by anyone in the Canadian media regarding the Nashville Predators? Like, just to think about that. And we couldn't come up with any. Like, that's how good the Predators are at this. Like, this was like flat out, completely. The only one we could think of at all would have been like Subban for Shea Weber, right? Which to be fair, is the Montreal Canadiens. So it's like a Montreal Canadian room.
Actually, I'll give you one act, but it's looking back pretty far in history. Cody Franzen and Mike Santorelli going to Nashville involved. That was a Leaf deal. I think it was.
But it was from Toronto.
It was Toronto. It was involving
two
Toronto.
sides of everything, right? So
And
this is just Poile. This is Poile and Duchene's agent. Poile's the kind of general manager that says don't leak it. So he doesn't want things leaked. So if the agent leaked it, that works against Duchene. So I would doubt that the agent. I think this. It very well might happen, and I don't think it's a bad fit for them. I think I like Duchene as a player, as a person. I'm not against this. This is going to be like, I'm against Duchene, but I'm not. But I still am not. I'm not sold on this like completely because I've heard more about Montreal being interested than Nashville, and I have broken a couple things from Nashville because I actually do have sources there, because I've spent a lot of time with them, and they're a team that I went down with and talked to when they were trying to raise money. I mean, I have some friends there, so I've broken Forsberg to there. We talked about the couple. I broke Korea to there. I've broken some bigger ones to there, but this one I have not gotten anybody at all to tell me that they are getting Duchene. And if it happens, it is just Poile's own decision.
Okay,
going with it.
Here's an update here, and here's an indicator of the prices that teams are going to be willing to pay in a very small defensive free agent pool.
Here comes
Pierre LeBrun reporting that the Florida Panthers are the front runners to land Anton Stralman. 3-year deal, $16.5 million, $5.5 million a year.
Oh, not
excuse me. Jake Gardner's getting 7 or more. Tyler Myers might get 7. This is nuts. I would not pay. Anton Stralman's been a good defenseman over the years. He's been pretty good as a sort of a wingman for Victor Hedman. He is not a $5.5 million defenseman. This is stupid.
I do want to go back to one thing about Montreal, though. So a couple of years ago, everybody was bashing Bergevin. He's done a nice job. He's spending a little more money. He's gaining tons of assets. They got a guy in Cole Caulfield who says he's hoping to play in the NHL next year. Could be the best goal scorer in the draft that fell to him. Like, we do have to give them credit now because they're not that far away from being good again. They were close last year, and they have Carey Price. Now, as far as Stralman goes,
hold on one second. We just can comment on this too, Russ. The Rangers have traded Jimmy Vesey to Buffalo for.
I just saw that too. I was just about to say that.
So talk about Stralman, then talk about Vesey.
Okay, so I mean Stralman, like, he was really good with the Rangers, still really good for a year or two with Tampa. I think now the mileage has caught up to him. I know he's got the reputation that, hey, he's a good stay-at-home, but I don't know if he stays at home well enough anymore.
He's a 5'6" guy
who
should be making 2.5,
right,
playing in protected usage minutes and zones and entry and zone starts. That's who he is. That's how you get value out of Stralman.
Yeah, because if you're expecting him now to be one of the stalwarts in front of whatever goalie they end up using this year in Florida, they're going to be disappointed.
Now, the Penguins were in on Stralman, but obviously the price got too high.
We're going to it says they're going to get Brandon Tanev here, the Penguins, that lists at some point today, according to Dreger.
So Vesey, we knew at some point Vesey would go. I didn't know if he'd go today because I thought maybe they'd be focused on other things. It is interesting that he goes to Buffalo. Vesey's a good player. He's never going to be a great player. What you see in Jimmy Vesey now is what you're going to see in Jimmy Vesey in 2 years. The problem is his skating isn't fantastic. And at some point, that grittiness is going to wane when the skating just isn't good enough for the league anymore.
Well,
that's the problem.
I'll tell you right now, Vesey's probably going to end up being on the left wing with Eichel. I mean,
for now. Yeah. And that might work out well this year. And it might work out for one more year. You got to watch Vesey in 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure he'll be able to keep up at that point. Age has nothing to do with it.
Right.
It's all about everything else that he has.
And in a way, Jimmy Vesey has cost the Sabres 2 third-round picks because they traded for his rights from Nashville for a third-round pick, and now they trade actually for him. And I just love the irony of this. They traded for his rights. He spurned Buffalo. He signs with the Rangers, and now the Sabres are like the girlfriend going back to the guy who rejected him. They get him for a third-round pick.
I do want to also mention, Mike, that now that – because I thought VC would be like a tomorrow thing or the day after.
Right.
Him going today means that the Rangers will make some sort of final offer to top the Islanders.
I agree with that.
Especially if it's just about money. and get them to sweat or spend more money. And that's what this is about.
Yeah, they cleared almost $3 million in cap space.
I totally agree with you, Russ. I really do. I think that's what's happening.
Especially, and I don't want to cross sports here, but James Dolan took a beating yesterday with what the Knicks didn't do in the NBA free agency.
And can we give New York Post the credit for like one of the greatest headlines of all time today?
What was it? I didn't see it.
Nothing but nets. Come on.
Yeah, but Russ, in the race for the most incompetent ownership, the Wilpons stayed in the race yesterday with the Mets doing their 50th anniversary and saying in memoriam for two players who were alive.
I will tell you this. Nothing runs there without a hitch. Even the ceremony, which was great and a lot of fun, was much later than it was supposed to be. Everything was starting late. They put out chairs late. Everything was late. End of the day, I knew something else. There was another shoe to drop. Little did I know that it would be, players that were alive that they put out dead. Now, the interesting part about that is one of the guys who was alive tweeted and said, "Hey, it was great to be mentioned on the big board at Citi Field." And then when somebody asked him, "Would you have gone if you were asked?" he goes, "I wouldn't even have picked up the phone if they called." So clearly, they weren't counting. They brought themselves more bad press by this mistake. Let's just say it that way.
Renaud Lavoie is reporting that with the Lightning signing Curtis McElhinney, they're going to shop Louis Domingue, and you'd laugh, but Domingue played pretty well for the Lightning last year as the number 2, especially when Vasilevsky was hurt. And
I've always
liked
Louis Domingue. I really think I liked him when he was in Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that the last year, backups became a lot more important than anybody thought. I mean, with Khudobin playing a bunch of games in Dallas, with Halak playing 40 games with Boston, backups are going to have to. They're probably going to have to play a lot more than the usual 15 to 20 games that they have been over the last few years, and that's why, like in Toronto, Garrett Sparks will probably never play for Mike Babcock again because he can't trust him.
I don't know who you have on the board, and I really have been driving around the last couple of days. I haven't been on the net much, but for Robin Lehner, like my thought is, I was asked in the chat room, I could see Ottawa going after him because this is the last year for Anderson, and Gustafson's probably not ready. I could see fitting in Lehner there, shoehorning him in.
Yeah, I think that's actually an interesting one because I mean Ottawa is doing some pretty good things. I think no,
they're not. No,
they totally are.
Let's get into that because all this is Eugene Melnyk getting to the cap floor by overpaying over the hill players, and I mean Ron Hainsey. He pays.
Well, that's the one. That's the one you can say. But Hainsey has been a really important player for the Toronto Maple Leafs. As much as you don't want to admit it, I mean, he has been vital.
No. He was elevated in importance because Mike Babcock refused to put anybody other than Hainsey with Morgan Rielly. Ron Hainsey. I'm sorry. They paid him $3 million for 2 years. They stuck him with Morgan Rielly. I'm sure Morgan Rielly benefited from the fact that Hainsey was sort of a stay-at-home type, but a lot of people think that Ron Hainsey held Morgan Rielly back last year. And, he's a declining – if they would have brought him back on a 1-year deal for like $1 million, $1.5 million and played him on the bottom pairing, then I think the Leafs would have loved to have had him back. He's getting $3.5 million from Ottawa for 2 reasons. 1, DJ Smith is their head coach, and 2, they needed get to the cap floor. It's a complete and utter overpayment. And we can call the Ottawa Senators Maple Leafs North because all they are is accumulating cast-offs from the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, but Connor Brown should not be a cast-off.
Okay.
Connor Brown should not be a cast-off. Zaitsev should not be a cast-off.
I like
Connor Brown is not a cast-off.
Let me finish. I like Connor Brown.
The guy played with Connor McDavid in juniors and lit it up.
And Connor Brown's a good young player. But the problem is that he was making $2.1 million as a 4th line player. Babcock, I think because of his versatility, Babcock put him up and down the lineup. It didn't really help him out. And with the need to open up cap space for Marner and the organization's depth on the wings, he was expendable. I'm not saying he's not going to be a good player with Ottawa, but the rest of them, Nikita Zaitsev, the Leafs were clear winners in that deal because they don't have to pay Zaitsev for 4 more years.
No, that's wrong.
Zaitsev is a good player at a cheap rate.
Hold on. They're cap winners. They're not clear winners.
That's part of the deal.
No, but it's not part of the deal.
No, it's part of the deal because of the situation. It's part of the deal because it is the situation they have put themselves in.
So, getting to that. So I did write an article on Sportsology about my thoughts on Spezza long term, not so much with the Leafs, but his whole career. But I mentioned a few things about the Leafs. Mike Babcock put him in the situation because he forced Zaitsev to play in a situation he didn't like, right? So now you got to trade Zaitsev. Then Connor Brown doesn't get used, so he devalues somebody who does have NHL. Hold on, Mike. You got your chance. Give me mine.
He got used.
He devalued Connor Brown a bit because he was a pretty good goal scorer, but then he stopped using him too in the right way. So then Kyle Dubas looks at this and says, well, I guess I'm going to put these guys in the deal because Mike Babcock's not going to use them, and Zaitsev doesn't want to stay here. So this is the deal I get. But my problem with the deal is they could have asked for a young centerman. They have tons of them in Ottawa. Logan Brown, Philip Chalopik, these guys are on the cusp of making it. You could have asked for one of them, and you never know. Maybe with a little tutelage from Mike Babcock, you have something, and then you could sit Gauthier after like 10 games.
Russ,
for better.
Like I told you that if they would have included one of those better prospects, the Leafs would have had to. It would have had an even bigger deal, and it would have had to include probably one of their top prospects, either Bracco or Liljegren or Sandin.
Maybe just another draft pick, Mike. It might have just been another pick.
They've already traded their first for next year. They're not going to trade anymore.
I mean, at this point, at least I'm getting young talent in return for a pick and a guy who's close to the NFL.
Russ, I think part of this is that the Leafs are gambling that they're going to get a year of CC and see what he is and see if he's actually more than the sum of his parts that we see in Ottawa. And Ottawa is probably gambling that Zaitsev, out of favor with Babcock, wasn't being used in the right way. They're going to get some stability on their cap that they can work with, and are getting no more, no less than CC. The gamble here is for the Leafs in that they have to actually ice a defense at some point. And Dubas has really done very little to deal with anything with their defense that's an upgrade on what they have right now. Right. That's where the concern is on this. The Leafs may have gained some cap flexibility, not quite right now, but in the future.
Right.
But the gamble is that you don't really have a decent defense that's in the top 16 in the NHL right now.
Not even
and
close.
With Gardiner, not even close.
Not even close.
So if there's a fix coming, it'll be interesting to see. But it's also like, if we want to go into the Dubas Babcock conspiracy theory realm, put on your tinfoil toque. You know what a toque is, right?
I'm ready.
It's the thing you call a beanie.
Right
and you put that on. Canada Day. And you put that on, and you say Dubas is saying, look, I'm not going to reload up on this defense until I know how the heck you're going to play it and what you're going to do, because I'm just burning assets to appease whatever logic you're using coaching. And maybe they have to come to some sort of that's my mother-in-law on the window right now behind me. And you have to
we're up the rail.
I love it. Yeah, I got my tinfoil toque on.
And you have to I think
there might be some roast beef sandwich left in this thing, though.
Let me just bounce back on what Peter was saying, because I mean, there are a lot. The analytics crowd in Toronto are going in. I mean, the analytics nerds who follow a team and comment on the team are going apoplectic at the prospect of Cody Ceci being on the Leafs blue line, because he's like their poster child for dysfunction. The thing is though, is that I think that Ceci is a 1-year stopgap. He's 1 year away from being a UFA. He's an RFA right now. If they qualify him or if they offer arbitration, he's probably going to end up close to what Zaitsev was making last year, which was 4.5, maybe a little more. And then he's a UFA. I think they cleared the 4 years of Zaitsev to re-sign Jake Muzzin. So that's what, okay. And that makes sense. That provides stability. Muzzin played pretty well with them in the second half of the year. It buys them time in terms of Liljegren or Sandin in terms of moving up in the organization. Now, I agree with Peter. They haven't done enough. Right now, they have 3/4 of a top four with Riley, Muzzin, and Ceci. And thank the Lord they decided to move on from Ron Hainsey, because if they would have brought Hainsey back, they would have been putting a bottom pairing defenseman in a top 4 role, and their defense would have been exactly the same.
What bottom 4 defense and they end up putting in a top 4 role?
What's that?
Let's wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. We have to talk about.
They replace. Whenever you lose somebody, you got to see who you replace them with. To make
Right. And the player to replace Hainsey is not on the Leafs roster right now.
Okay, but
then they don't have a player to replace Hainsey right now.
Right,
but the season doesn't start till October, so that there's time there. Right?
Okay,
so there is time. I know, but it's impossible to make these calls. Until they could decide suddenly that they want to bring in Mike Green or something. Anything.
Okay, there's one other thing about Cody Ceci. While we all like his skating and know there's some offensive ability that hasn't really fully come out, he's not great defensively either. This is not
he's not. That's not his strength.
He's going to give Babcock a headache.
He is more like Gardiner than he is anyone else.
Which is the reason why he'll probably end up playing with Muzzin. They'll probably
which is fine.
And that's Muzzin's a competent defensive player, so he'll probably spend a bit of time covering up for CC's failings. But that was the same with Zaitsev last year. What they need now is a right-handed partner for Morgan Riley, and I keep going back to some of them as a stopgap like Chris Tanev, which might happen because it appears that Vancouver is adding. They're going to add Tyler Myers, and I just saw a report that they're signing Jordy Ben for 2 years at $2 million.
That's another good pick, Jordy Ben. Man,
Jordy Ben can play.
I really liked him in Montreal.
Yeah, I did too.
I did.
But they seem intent on completely flipping their defense, other than Alex Edler. So,
I do have a Toronto news. Not that it's a major news, and not that anyone will really think that this is crazy news, but just based on the people I've talked to, I'm kind of just closing off this little box here. I've written before that there were possibilities of a Nylander trade, and I was told that those possibilities went out last night. Like that any talks of that have gone. Nylander will remain a Leaf after even after he gets the giant bonus today, which is how much is he getting today?
$8.3 million, and I don't buy it, Eck. I still don't buy it. I mean, there's been talk about Kadri floating out there, and that the Leafs are rejecting all the.
There's a better chance on Kadri, I was told.
Yeah, I think if it's a contest between Kadri and Nylander will get traded before Kadri, but it probably will only happen until after they get Marner signed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
All right, can I talk about one other thing that could happen?
Please do.
Okay. This other thing that could happen today could break Twitter for a little while. And that is if Wayne Simmonds gets signed by the Pittsburgh Penguins, that could break Twitter for a while.
Wow, a big break Pennsylvania Twitter.
No.
Pennsylvania Twitter. And
here's the thing about that, and it's interesting. I talk to people all the time, about this is my thing, like how people often ask, why do people tell you things? People tell me things because I'm told things by other people, and people want to know what I've been told. It's kind of like, what have you heard? Every conversation starts with what have you heard with me. That's like it's just a joke. It's a joke at this point. So I'm just like, yeah, I've heard that that there's a Republican president of the United States, and I'll start off something else, But yeah, so this I have never been asked more questions about a single player than I have been about Wayne Simmonds this year. Like talking, there are so many people who are intrigued by him enough to say, what is the deal?
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal? With Wayne Simmonds, and now there's a rumor out there. I just got texted that Anders Lee could be heading to the KHL.
No, not a chance in hell.
Zero chance.
Come on.
I say that zero chance too. It just was texted to me. Have you heard this one? And I'm like, and that's obviously, it's just I'm not standing by it. I'm just saying it was texted to me. That's all I'm saying. It said, have you heard this one that Anders Lee? No, I haven't hered it, obviously, but anyway, going back to Simmonds, I got so many.
Whoever sent that to you, lose their phone.
No. This is just the have you heard thing. I get a lot of these too. This is just and sometimes these are just literally jokes. Can you believe this was being said? This is the case. Okay.
Have you heard that Mike Agello is going out with Jessica Chastain?
I'm going to take that as the case.
She would not put up.
I know she's married too. So she likes Italian. Kareem, let me ask you, because you just texted in the in our thing about Keith Kinkaid and the Canadiens, which have been out there a little bit for the last couple of days. What I'm a little curious about is It looked like Charlie Lindgren was the guy as the number 2. Is there sort of a lack of confidence in Lindgren now?
Yeah, there is. I mean, it looked like that maybe a year ago, but just around the draft, Bergevin said that Charlie Lindgren has showed that he can be a backup at times.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's not the opposite of a ringing endorsement, I don't know what is. So I'm not really surprised to see that Kinkaid is in the air in Montreal. I would have preferred McKelney, but apparently he's going elsewhere. So I guess Kinkaid will have to do
good though, Corinne. Kinkaid is good. The players like him. He's fun on social media. I think this is a good fit. I think Kinkaid's is a guy that doesn't take himself too seriously, and he knows the job. He does.
Right. Okay, well
so just to clear this up, this was an assistant GM who just thought it was hilarious to wanted to totally screw with us today. So there you go.
Okay.
And but this is all the people will remember about today. That I said Anders Lee could be going to KHL. Just like remember that. That is the end of the day. That's what people remember. Not anything else that happened.
Well, Kareem, let me follow up on this though, because like we were saying before, the Canadiens cleared almost $5 million in cap space.
Yeah.
We know that Duchene was mentioned. He went to Montreal. I talked to them. There's been speculation about Anders Lee. Do you think that if they're going for somebody, it is that number 2 center to play to provide some veteran leadership with Paling and Kotkaniemi up the middle?
Yeah, perhaps. But what I thought is that if they were going after Duchene, they would have moved Domi back to the wing and given the youngster a shot at center. But now, if they bring in Lee, who's a left wing, that confuses me a little bit because their left wing is stronger than their right wing, especially now that they've traded Shaw. Right. So I'm a bit baffled by everything that's happening.
Here's the other thing about Anders Lee that I was told.
That's what'll happen. Someone will be changing.
I was told that Anders Lee is looking. Check this out. Anders Lee is looking for $8.5 million a year.
Well, why wouldn't he? Go look at the way these salaries are.
I know, but
Pavelski's getting it.
He's an older guy.
I know.
He's not like a super young UFA.
He's not Joe Pavelski's age either.
Kevin Hayes seems like a year ago now.
Kevin Hayes seems like a bargain now.
Exactly.
Fletcher knew what he was doing.
See, we'll just
throw it out there.
Goals.
Or you could say Kevin Hayes started this insanity.
Yeah, you could say that. You shouldn't, but you could.
Well, not so much Kevin Hayes.
All right, we have a question. Julian in the chat room has a question for Karine. Which is going to be said in English.
Hey,
what will Bergevin do with Hudon?
Sorry?
What will Bergevin do with Hudon?
Oh God, that's an interesting question. Really, I don't think that Charles Hudon is in the plans anymore. I don't get why we sent him a qualifying offer. And to be fair, I think it's really bad to the player. I mean, look at Nicolas Deslauriers. They weren't using him, so they traded him after he requested the trade. I believe Hudon's done the same thing, and yet they're hanging on to him. I'm baffled by that. I really don't know what Bergevin's plan is there.
I like Charles Hudon too. He skates fairly well. He's got a great shot. He's never been given a chance. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, it's really, how many chances have been given to Mike McCarron compared to Charles Hudon? Like, come on.
Too many?
Yeah.
This is a text from another NHL exec who's watching. We have quite a few today. First of all, they say, great show. Glad Brian Burke's not on it, which is pretty funny. Next, which I love Berkey, so I can say that. Next, he says, we're a team out there that wants to spend money and would spend money on a superstar, but won't spend superstar money on a middle range player.
Okay,
and that's fair. You're going to see a lot of that. I think that's
fiscally responsible. And by the way, Karine, I have a deal for you. 1-for-1 Leafs and Habs. It would satisfy both fan bases. Freddie Gauthier for Mike McCarron.
Oh.
Why not? Why not?
We need a Mike and Karine show. This would be great. Like the Toronto, Montreal show. We need a podcast with just you two. That'd be hilarious.
A bit of word here from George Richards right now. I said, with all these reported signings, Bob, Connolly, Strawman, and perhaps Asiari, Panthers do not have the money to sign Artemi Panarin. I was told Tuesday they thought he was going to New York, but feel better after their meeting. Panthers apparently moving on. That's from George.
Yeah, no shock. I mean,
yeah.
I think about a week ago, I felt like it wasn't going to be a package deal anymore, and that it probably could be the Rangers or the Islanders.
Remember what we said on here? Like I said too. I said that they have a definite need with Bobrovsky, but not with Panarin. So it's like,
how about this though? This is the perfect situation for that surprise third team. We always talk about it. Nobody's talking about anybody else but the Islanders and Rangers now, maybe Columbus because they've made some offer.
Colorado.
This is the perfect situation for that surprise third team.
Colorado.
Yes, so there is a third. I have heard who's I heard there was a third team in on somebody. Oh, it was the guy Tyler Myers. There's a third team involved still that people aren't talking about. That everyone's like, okay, he's going to Vancouver, but there is another team that's still until I think is going to still.
Well, he's from wasn't he born in Texas? Maybe it's the Stars. Ryan Hartman will get a 2-year deal with Minnesota at $1.9 million.
Right around the number we heard, which is right around the number we heard. We knew it was going to be a multi-year deal.
But he's the winner.
Close to $2 million, and it's right on the number there. So
his agent is the winner in this deal.
Exactly. He did it perfectly, got himself out of the RFA, got him out of RFA status, and Minnesota was willing to pony up for him.
Ryan Hartman has to give his agent a raise. That guy did a great job of maneuvering.
But we said
that
last week. We said we thought this was going to be. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, there's no reason." He's like, "That doesn't matter to him. It's going to be whoever gives him the best deal." And for the most,
it really does. Yeah,
I mean, he's a young guy. There's no family consideration in this case for him. I mean,
the only thing I would say about him is he is a Midwestern guy, right?
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he grew up in Chicago. He was really devastated when he was moved when the Blackhawks traded him to the Predators. That was really upsetting him because he had grown up in Chicago and loved being in Chicago. So this is a little bit of a return. Midwesterners are Midwesterners. They do like that area. But like you said, it's really about the money with him right now.
Well, Chicago could be interesting today because although they may have spent what they wanted to spend with the deals to get Duchene and Mata, but there is some thought that they may move Anisimov because they have Dylan Strome as the number 2 center now. He's 1 year away from being an RFA and his ELC being expired. Same thing with DeBrincat. Anisimov is a good veteran center, but he makes $4.5 million this year and next year, and they may need that cap room to go towards those two guys coming off their entry levels. So there might be a move there where if there's a team out there looking for a second, third line center, that Anisimov might be somebody that teams go after.
I think that would be a great move.
I think Anisimov has experience with Torts. He's already played in that city. He can score 25 goals for them.
Right.
That would be a great pickup for them if they can make that deal. And I'm telling you, I think it'll be like Anisimov or Steve Milano and something.
Yeah, I do that.
And I have this. His name hasn't been out there much in the rumor speculation, but I would think that if anybody was interested in Brandon Saad, that the Hawks would move him because he's got a year. I think he's got a year left at $6 million, and they're gonna. I don't know how much DeBrincat's gonna get, but he's gonna get a ton on a new deal.
He's gonna get 8.5.
Yeah, they're gonna have to now. Saad's deal expires at the end of this year, so there won't be any overlap between him and DeBrincat. But still, if you can. I mean, if they think that Saad can have a bounce back year and then maybe they trade him at the deadline or they just keep him as an own rental, fine. I mean, I think Chicago is of the mindset right now that they want to make the playoffs and they've made moves to solidify their defense.
Here's the thing about that, though.
Well, you muted yourself, Ak. There you go.
Here's the thing about that. I'll say again.
I didn't do it. I swear.
I know. They really, really regretted trading Saad away the first time.
Right. But he's not been good since he came back.
But he's still young. Like he's still crazy young. Like the thing about people forget, that Saad was like it was the weirdest thing to me was that, he was like on that under 23 team at the World Cup. Like he is still young because he feels like he's been around forever, in the NHL. But he's still he's like 25, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That right. No, 26, I think.
Maybe he's 26. I mean, he's still and he brings so much. He does so many things more than scoring. He's like an all-around guy. Like he's an all-around player. He's like a Travis Konechny of Chicago in a lot of ways. And he's really talented. Like I think that. By the way, did you see that? Did everyone catch that Morgan Frost move yesterday?
I was there. Are we talking about the shootout at the?
Yeah, the shootout.
Yeah, I was there when it happened.
You were there when it happened. I was wondering if you were there.
Charlie had a better video. Charlie O'Connor had a better video angle than I did, so I just RT'd his clip. But
that was crazy. I mean,
yeah, he faked the between the legs.
Faked the between the legs play.
Get Ustimenko to open up, and he just tucked it behind him.
Which is a brilliant, because I've been, as a goalie myself, who've been in many shootouts. I can tell you that I'm sorry, no, but I have been in enough of these to know that between the legs thing is kind of so old that that when you see a player doing it, you can totally read it. Like, you understand, what's happening with it now. Like, as a goalie, when you see that happening, so the move that Frost did would have killed me. Like, I would have I would have been on it so fast, because that move is just like, it was so creative for a while. And then when I think, was it Marek who did it? Remember who was it? Marek? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the guy. Yeah. Now the big thing is the non-shot by.
Right, the non-shot by Kucherov, right?
Yep.
But this move, I've seen it so many times like that. Guys will chew it on you in warm-ups or whatever. And when I played the other day, and I played in that,
Did Dustin Lee do that to you?
Dustin Lee, no. Dustin Lee tried to. No, I stacked pads on this. I totally beat him. I'll never forget that one. That's on my Twitter page. That's my Twitter picture up top, is me beating Dustin Lee in that shootout. No, but I think when he did that, I'm like, wow, that's a great move, because that really would, because it's time to like take that like back between the legs thing and like evolve it into something else. That has to happen, because that's become so trite. Tom wants don't know if Tom, I love this. This is my favorite question so far today. Are there any Thomas Kaberle rumors? I love that. Thank you. Very much. Really appreciate it.
The Thomas Kaberle memorial rumor.
Yeah, Kaberle is going to the Bruins. No, never mind.
I love it. No, I know. We've spent many years. And then the other one, Erik Karlsson, who we spent a lot of time talking about. I'm so glad that Erik Karlsson signed an 8-year deal. I can't even begin to tell you, like, that he signed an 8-year deal is just incredible, because we spent, I feel like, the last 18 months talking about Erik Karlsson.
I mean, Kaberle is only 41. I mean, I'm sure some team could use him.
Yeah,
the funny thing here is that as many of the rumors we've heard about Myers, we haven't heard as many about Gardiner, but I mean, in terms of it just being floated out there, it might be because, Gardiner is represented, I think, by Pat Brisson, and,
Brisson's pretty quiet, but
yeah, exactly. But
I mean, he does have, not all the time. I mean, you do hear things from Pat Brisson. I mean, you do hear things about Pat Brisson type players.
I mean,
this leads me more to believe that he's talking to a team that is super secretive.
I mean,
which is not some of the teams he's been talking about, because Montreal is not a super secretive team.
we know for sure he's not going back to Toronto, because Dubas basically said we can't. It's
and they only want to have 2 NHL defensemen on their back line. So I think that they're going to be.
Well, if they sign Gardiner, they would still have 2. At least defensively.
Yeah, you're right. No, I mean, I'm not saying you're not right there, but is Gardiner? I mean, like I said, the Flyers are keying on defense. Is Gardiner their guy? Would that be would that be interesting? I mean,
no, they can't afford takeover.
I'm just throwing something out there. That's not a rumor, but I'm just saying that the Flyers
3 teams that have been rumored regarding Gardiner have been Detroit, Minnesota, and Montreal. And if it's Minnesota, then I would think it would go in concert with trading Spurgeon.
I've also put Edmonton in there too, by the way. Here's the other interesting thing.
He goes to
Jason has a good question, Eck. He asked, is there any update on the Sharks? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I was just about to do that.
Hold on. I have one.
Go ahead.
The Sharks are in Amityville Harbor right now.
Yeah, there was just a white shark, a great white that was seen right off there was a great white that was seen right off the coast out here. I mean, literally the beach is like 100 yards that way, and there was a great white seen right out there. Anyway, so
that was a Jaws reference. Did nobody get it? Come on.
It was a great reference to multiple horror movies.
Yeah,
it was a little complex, but hey.
Yeah.
Here.
Can I do my Sharks update though? Here's my Sharks update.
Okay, quickly. Yep.
Quickly. All right, Mike, you got it. I'll do as best I can, man. Sorry. Okay, Gustav Nyquist has a lot of suitors today. It's going to turn into one of the more. I'm probably going to get more airtime than he ever anticipated on TSN. But Gustav, and I like Gustav Nyquist a lot. We talked about him. He's getting a big number. I've heard Edmonton. I've heard New Jersey. And I've heard Vancouver. Okay. But Edmonton's interesting, of course, because Holland had Nyquist before. But here's the thing: with Pavelski signing elsewhere, I wouldn't be shocked if the Sharks got back in and like the Sharks made a move for Nyquist. You know, like talk to somebody about this, and I think they should. I think the Sharks.
Well,
you know, I think that's
don't hold your breath here, but I would think that you're going to hear at 12:01 Patrick Marleau signing a 1-year $600,000 or $700,000 deal with the
that's inconsequential. You know,
that's the deal.
That's totally inconsequential.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not to him. It's
I'm just saying as far as, you know, like the Gustav Nyquist talks like go. I think that because they have to. I mean, Pavelski was too expensive for them to bring back, but they have money to spend. They have some money there. They were planning on paying at least 6 or so to Pavelski.
Well, the question is, and you know, we've seen veteran players like Chara in Boston take less as they've gotten older and older just to stay with the team that they've been with. It's going to be interesting because a few years ago when Marleau was a free agent and then Thornton was a free agent at the same time, when Marleau chose Toronto, basically Thornton took Marleau's money. He got like $8 million on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Now that it's coming down to it and they're trying to fill their holes, will Thornton take less? And Marleau, I'm assuming, is going to take minimum or close to minimum. Will like Thornton take $2 million a year and Marleau $1 million so they can go out and re-sign Nyquist, or are they going to keep saying, "Okay, give me as much money as I can"? That's going to be the interesting thing when those signings are announced.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Marleau and Thornton will sort of have to go on this. They'll probably team up on this and come in with the same number, and that number might be like 1.5. It might be a little bit higher than people thought.
Okay, the Bruins are losing Noel Acciari. He's going to Florida 3 years for $5 million total.
Total.
Like 1.6 a year.
Well, because of that terrible dive he took in the Stanley Cup Finals.
We have a Flyers signing, by the way.
All right.
Philly native. This is from Philly native Kyle Crisciolo, formerly with Rochester, in the Sabres organization, to a 1-year, 2-way contract. So he's your first. There's gonna be a lot of these today for Philly, I think.
Oh yeah.
He may be their one forward, and they're probably looking at least 2 probably AHL level defensemen. Nate Prosser's been talked about a lot.
Too much.
2 years. They're looking at 2 years with
Yeah.
But
I don't know if you were on, Anthony, when I said that I heard that the Flyers' main.
Yeah,
I don't know if you were here yet, Anthony, when I said that I heard the Flyers' main thing was defense, and I guess you.
Well, they need Phantoms desperately need it. They don't. I think they're down to 3 regular defensemen, so they're going to need to sign. Several. They need to add several there, but Prosser will be your classic swing guy in that circumstance. And for those wondering, actually, the connection to Chuck Fletcher, even though he's not a Minnesota guy. He's a Harvard. He went to St. Joe Prep in Philadelphia and Harvard grad. This is from Frank Saravelli, by the way, who once interned with Chuck Fletcher in the summer.
There you go.
But there's always connections of some kind.
I once interned with Al Morganti, but I'm not getting any jobs.
Hey, I have an idea. Maybe the Phantoms could use Shel Samuelson and Nick Schultz as a pairing.
Okay, this is laughable. John Vogel from The Athletic reporting from Jimmy Vesey's agent, Peter Fish, on the winger returning to the Sabres, this time under contract. He is very excited. If he was so excited to be a Sabre, he would have signed in Buffalo 3 years ago.
He's excited now, Mike.
Of course he's going to say that. Yeah, he's excited now.
Looks like Panarin
Rangers.
Panarin to the Rangers. It looks like.
Look out!
Nice point towards Panarin this time at the Rangers.
Boom goes the dynamite.
There we go.
Make sure you torture Adam Woden now, Russ.
And hey, Adam, how's it going to feel to lose 2 team captains 2 years in a row? Thank you very much.
That's why I was afraid of giving it an E5. I gave it an E4 plus. I'm like as close as I could get. The only E5 I gave out yesterday was Bobrovsky. But yeah, this is well, we'll see. Yeah, I'm told to hold on. Actually, just get a text. Hold on that one.
This is the thing. Wasn't like a hateful twist for me against the Islanders. It just was. If it came down to bargaining, and it's them and the Rangers, and I knew Panarin wanted to secretly play for the Rangers for a long time. The Rangers had the money. So do the Islanders. But at the end of the day, you're choosing between the two. It's like vanilla and chocolate. Which one are you choosing?
Well, you know what?
Chocolate.
Russ, in this scenario, the Islanders are the New York Knicks.
Yes.
They're the team that gets rejected by everybody.
And I wonder if this has anything to do with the New York Knicks yesterday, like you said, Russ. I mean,
I think I do think it has something to do with it because James Dolan took a big hit yesterday. And if this deal would have been lost and the Islanders would have walked with Panarin and we found out, hey, you know what? The Rangers came up $1 million short. All the Rangers season ticket holders would have been like, what the hell are we paying all this exorbitant money for?
And Dreger's saying the belief is that Panarin actually left money on the table in the deal.
Yeah,
they always say
the Islander offer sounds like it might have been better, but maybe just not enough. And when you say money on the table, my estimation in this case was it's probably not that much.
Not that much money on the table.
Anthony, I'll take it. Whatever money he left on the table, you can just leave it on mine.
I think it's 12 instead of 12.5. Watch, that's probably.
I think I have a buck on my table here. Yeah, I got it.
There was a year that the Jets were in the playoffs, the New York Jets, right? And their coach brought in in a suitcase what their playoff bonus would be for each player, right? And he dumped the suitcase of money on the table, right? That's what happened here. The Islanders, it's always theoretical money, but they're always going to be outbid by the Rangers. That's the fact of life.
Jan Levine joins the show, and he came in just in time to gloat about the Rangers apparently getting Artemi Panarin before Anthony has to leave. Go ahead, Jan, gloat.
First of all, I don't normally gloat for anybody who's normally listened to me. That's not my style.
No, it's
look at that smile.
But I
would
will
say whatever the opposite voting is
you know what. So, I mean, look, we've talked a lot about. I mean, I've written so many blogs already. It's this thing has been free agency was kind of held up to the Rangers based upon what happened. And I think while all the talk about the Vesey trade being something that had been in the works for a while, clearly completing that deal was a fairly decent indication that they felt that they were truly in on Panarin, right? And as Russ just said, the lineup around him and what exists there, and the Islanders not signing Lee, obviously the questions with Robin Lehner going, even though they may get Varlamov, is a good indication that you wouldn't know the direction what was going on there. And for the Rangers now, there's still a ton of questions, and I'm not sure if Russ got to it, but they got to free up other cap room. I mean, it's whether or not it means buying out Brendan Smith, what they possibly do with Kevin Shattenkirk, how this impacts Chris Kreider. And their impact is really more of a short term because if you look at it, if they do nothing for the next couple of years, in 2 years, you have Mark Stahl, Brendan Smith, Kevin Shattenkirk, and Henrik Lundqvist salaries all coming off the radar, which is about somewhere in the $25 to $26 million range. So the impact is going to be this year and next year. And also, New York needs to now figure out what to do with Jacob Trouba in terms of what type of deal they're giving him, though rumors were, at least for Brooks, 7 years and about the $7.5 to $8 million range. So does it make New York a better team? Absolutely. Does it give them a true top six winger? Absolutely. Do I want them to get rid of Chris Kreider? No, because I think Kreider can be a fit on this team. But there's still other pieces of the puzzle that need to be figured out. But as Russ said, if he left money on the table, which appears to be the case, and I don't think we know how much was left on the table right now until we see what kind of contract he signs. It's a fairly good indication that he's happy with the direction he's going in, and also a fairly good indication that he had a more than good relationship with the new president, John Davidson, which may have been
the other thing, and that's a really good point. Yeah, like the JD thing is a really good point because there were some who said he didn't have a good relationship with JD, and that's why this
talked about it. He was hugging him when he left.
I'm of course, I don't know what went on behind closed doors. I'm just saying.
But we saw that picture.
Well, we saw a picture of them hugging, yes, but there's pictures of me hugging all kinds of people out there.
We know that, and that's going to be a problem down the road if you run for office.
I know, that's what I've said. So I've hugged all kinds of people I don't like. So it's like
whispering in JD's ear, "Save me a penthouse."
All right, so here's what I think.
And just to be fair, I didn't find $1 on the table. Left on the table, I found $2.
Wow. Here's what I think will happen.
Out on a sec.
Here's what I think will happen with Chris Kreider. I think because Jeff Gordon is the guy that originally scouted him when he was with Boston. Then he got into the Rangers, and he has Chris Kreider on his team, right? He had a chance to get Kreider with the Rangers. He did. I think he will ask Kreider to chill out for a little while on his contract, play the season. We will be here for you. You be here for us.
I love it.
We will buy out a player next year. It'll probably be Mark Stahl. Brendan Smith will get bought out this year, and they'll fit in Chris Kreider. If Kreider is smart, that's what he'll do. If he pushes it with his agent, he's going to get dealt.
Yeah. Well, I guess the question is, Russ, is given the rumors of Anders Lee, does he go for what Pavelski got? which is the $7 million, or do we think he's going for the $9 million, which is the rumor for Lee?
No. Who you talking about, Kreider?
Yeah.
He could only get 7.5. That's it.
You think he'll even get 7.5?
No, I don't.
6 years or 5 years?
I think they're going to go 5 years because you hope the speed will be there, but he's a big, bulky guy, so you never know.
Okay, here's the interesting scenario, and anybody can comment on this. Now, if this is true and Panarin is going to the Rangers, the fallback to the Islanders might be to try to get Lee under contract. If they can't,
no, you're right.
If they can't,
$109 million.
Then Lou is left completely holding the bag with nothing in it. The Islanders could be in a really bad state here if they lose out on Panarin and Lee is gone. They could take and also Leonard being gone. They could take a really big major step back.
Mike, they re-signed Tom Kuhnhackl. I mean, come on.
This is incredible. I mean, this
That's
is
harsh.
such a great.
Thomas Price in goal. Come on,
Russ, can we put this up there on like you and Jan being the experts in this area? Can we put this up there on like one of the better Battle of New York moments? Like they literally take Panarin from the Islanders.
Yeah, they snapped him from
10 minutes before noon. Like this was like completely. I mean, and I tell you, and I'm not the only one who said that the Islanders were Panarin. Like Mackenzie had it too. Like that it was looking like the Islanders. Other people had it as well. I heard Elliot Friedman. It was looking like the Islanders. The Islanders thought they had this. So them taking this from, I don't know.
I think the more interesting part is what was he truly signing with them, and was he definitively leaning there? And what drove him to change his mind if he was going in that direction? They talked about the Rangers being more of a destination. What made them more of a destination after he seemingly was signing on the bottom line?
Yeah, because I will tell you this. I can't tell exactly what I heard or how I heard it, but he told some people that he was going to the Islanders for sure. And
but again, they do that to take people off the scent.
No. Agents do.
No,
players don't.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm sure there was a decision to be made, but I'm going to default back to 6 months to a year ago where I had heard Panarin always wanted to play for him. And if you remember, I said on the show, when Jágr wanted to play for the Rangers, Jágr played for the Rangers. He said he always wanted to. He got the chance. He did. I think this is the same thing. It's just that it took a little longer because he did have some good offers that his agent probably said, hold on, let's really look at this and let's see if we can get as much as we can out of New York. Because you want to be in New York. Now you got a chance to be in two teams, and I think it took a little longer. But end of the day, I think, like you said, a week ago is when I saw the Florida thing breaking up.
Yeah.
I thought initially there was a 75% chance that Florida would get him. And then even last night on New York radio, I said I thought the Rangers would get Panarin. And once I knew it was coming down to a bidding war against the Islanders and they both had money, the Islanders lose. Like until they get their own place, they are going to lose that battle every single time.
Peter.
Well, and I've said before, and I do agree with you, Russ, on this thing that there is nothing. And I've talked to players who signed with the Rangers before. All the Rangers need to do is tell you to walk to Madison Square Garden from your hotel,
right? And
that's all you need to do because there is hardly anything in the world that compares to that. And then once you're there, go ahead, Mike. What do you got?
Drager is reporting, and Peter, Brandon Tanev 5 to 6 year deal with Pittsburgh.
Peter's now just shaking his head and going, thank God it wasn't the Jets.
Yeah. Congrats, Brandon. All the best. You're playing with Crosby Malkin. I hope you enjoy Pittsburgh, and the winters aren't as severe, but you will have a great time there.
Let's take
what do you say about that?
How much do you think?
It's going to be $2 million plus.
Oh, I think it's going to be more than that.
Which is crazy.
A lot more than that.
I'd say 3.5.
They only have like 1.6 to spend right now.
Yeah, but they can move things.
I mean, they can do stuff, of course, but
wow, that's a little surprising. But
I think it's a pretty good move for them, don't you?
Peter, what do you? I mean, I like Tanev as a worker, but remember on the Jets, he was a fourth line guy. So I mean, he's probably going to be third line with Pittsburgh. I mean, what do you think, Peter?
I mean, he's going to add some speed. The thing about Tanev is he needs support. Like, the guy's got blazing speed, but he needs help in how he plays the game. He's not a setup man. He's a puck retrieval man. And then he's got to get it to someone who can do the other work. That's Brandon Tanev. He's not particularly strong in his own end. He's just super fast. So maybe he can keep up with Crosby. Maybe Crosby can keep up with him. But you're going to play Brandon Tanev with Crosby?
Yeah.
The thing about Brandon Tanev is he found success when he stopped being so wild with his speed. He dialed it back a little bit. He wasn't rushing in just to beat everyone and then go, now what do I do? He figured it out. But what also happened is he had two guys who figured it out with him, which is Kopp and Lowry. And they're the ones who drive the bus on that line. And that's where Brandon Tanev made his that was his bread and butter, Kopp and Lowry. So when you look forward, you now think, well, who's the Kopp and Lowry that he's going to play with on Pittsburgh? And are they actually going to get that kind of value out of him? And I don't think they are. I just don't think it's possible.
LeBrun is reporting that the Sharks are close to re-upping Timo Meier on a long-term deal.
There you go. Well, it is almost. It's like 10 minutes to 10 seconds to 12 o'clock. So we're about to officially start the UFA signing period.
Now, a truer statement has never been said about the Islanders and the Rangers. Daniel Friedman tweeted this out. If you had a choice between playing at MSG or bouncing around between Barclays and Nassau Coliseum, what would you choose?
Didn't I just say that?
I don't know. I didn't hear it.
I said it like 3 minutes ago.
I didn't hear you.
Peter, did you hear that? Did you hear? Oh, he left. See, there you go. Eck, did you hear me say that 3 minutes ago?
I did.
You're just chasing everybody off, Russ.
It's all right. I mean,
right. Daniel's right too, though. He is, and again, that does work against the Islanders. They have to get this arena deal locked down and done. Players don't like that situation. They're all going to say, hockey guys are good guys. They're all going to say the right thing, and then they're going to do something else in free agency. I do want to also say congrats to Matt Martin. He got married to Boomer Esiason's daughter yesterday. That was very nice.
Yes, and Mitch Marner was at the wedding, and of course, everybody thought that meant Mitch Marner was visiting the Islanders for this non-existent bullcrap offer sheet stuff.
Yeah, can we stop with the offer sheets today? Everybody, even Elliot Friedman was sort of mentioning one, and it's like, stop with the offer sheets, please.
Well, we got the whale over there if we have one. I'll move the narwhal to the bed if we have an offer sheet rumor, but we only had one so far. So we'll keep on that.
5 minutes before Panarin decided on the Rangers, and I love this. Incarcerated Bob comes out and said that Panarin was going to the Rangers, and now everybody's giving him credit for sticking his finger up in the wind, saying, "I think he's going to the Rangers."
Yeah,
Bob, just go back to jail.
Yeah,
that would
be everybody and their brother had the Islanders, so
not me.
No. You had your actual.
I was just using my gut. I had no sources. I had nothing. I was just using my gut, and my gut's pretty good.
Yeah,
people can attest to that.
My gut's pretty big.
Well, it was a little bit of a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get the actual story about how this really goes down. Like, I can't wait to
mention something too. In this chat room, I guess somebody brought up at some point Panarin is average, and then Scott said, "Well, he's never scored 90 points in the NHL." There's a long list of NHLers that have never scored 90 points. Again, he's good for 75, 80 a year, no matter who his line mates are, no matter where he's playing.
Yeah. You're right.
Incredibly skilled.
I mean, he's only been in the NHL for 3 years, right?
And how many points does he create?
Yeah. I mean, that's and also last year you saw when the Blue Jackets were trying to make the playoffs, who came up big? Panarin.
Yeah.
Mike.
David Pagnotta reporting that the number for Panarin on 7 years is $84 million, which is $12 million per.
Okay. Well, they came up.
So Panarin is the second highest paid player in the NHL, next to Connor McDavid.
Yep, there you go.
That is true.
Again,
just yesterday, if you remember, wasn't it Larry Brooks who was saying where they were with Panarin? It was like 11.
Yeah, let's give Artemi Panarin's agent a lot of credit here because they probably saw this coming when he was with Chicago. Chicago saw this coming. They got rid of him.
Yep.
Columbus tried to keep him. They couldn't. This was always going to happen for this guy. It was.
Okay, official numbers coming in here. Sekera, $1.5 million for Dallas with a $500,000 bonus. Ron Hainsey, 1 year, $3.5 million with Ottawa. Laughable.
Yeah, that's just like you said. They're getting to the cap floor on that deal.
6 years for Brandon Tanev, according to John Shannon of Sportsnet. Yeah, these are. I mean,
is the 6-year deal? Let me ask you this, Mike. Since we don't have Peter at the moment, and anybody else, Corinne, if you want to chime in, whoever, it still feels like that deal's better than what they have in Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, I like. Okay, Peter's not here. Peter's not here, but he'd be interested in this. It just Nathan Beaulieu re-upping with the Jets, 1 year, $1 million. That's not actually not. That's not a bad signing. He just when he got to Buffalo, he was never utilized properly. And I know that Peter said that he played pretty decent last year at after the deadline with the Jets. So I think that's a good economical signing there. Yeah. Now we're just gonna get numbers. Now this is gonna be the curious thing. I'm very curious to see what Brandon Tanev gets for Pittsburgh. I'm guessing it's north of $3 million.
Here's something that I like to
Ryan
Wilson.
3.5
for Tanev.
Tanev 3.5 according to McKenzie.
3.5. There you go.
There you go.
Here's our writer, our Penguins guy, Ryan Wilson, on Twitter, who does a good job. Here we have his quote. I like this. I like the sweep by him. Dale Talon giving Anton Strawman that Jonathan Marchessault money. It's really funny.
Well,
true.
Well, but that was a different scenario because Marchessault was deemed a creation of that analytics group in Florida that ousted Talon or kept Talon out, and then he got back and he just didn't feel like he should pay the money to Marchessault and got rid of him, and he's been proved wrong on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Timo. Here you go, Russ. Timo Meier takes a 4-year deal with the Sharks at $6 million AAV. Now, this is key for one thing, Eck. $4 million walks him to UFA. They didn't buy any unrestricted years at all. This is the first salvo in the restricted free agent realm here because that amount. I mean, there were reports of the Leafs having to pay Mitch Marner $8 million on a 2-year bridge deal.
Right.
That's not happening now. We know that they use comparables with and Marner's a better winger than Timo Meier. But when you're paying Meier $6 million for 4 years, I mean the Leafs don't want to walk Marner to UFA in 4 years, but. And maybe
but they might have to though because that's pretty much what they're doing with Austin Matthews as well. He got a 5-year deal, didn't he?
Right, but they bought 1 year free agency. They bought
1 year. Yeah,
and I know believe me, Karina. A number of people said I know Brian Burke on Sportsnet has said numerous times that if you're paying Matthews top 5 in the league, you should have gotten 6, 7, 8 years and not 5. I think the Leafs are comfortable with the fact that. Matthews and maybe Marner are following the Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves model here of an extended bridge deal to get to age, say 27, and then hitting it big again in free agency. And if the Leafs will make the cap room to re-sign those guys because they'll be the core guys for the next decade for that team. But yeah, ideally,
the Jackets have signed Ryan Murray.
Okay.
Another RFA.
Right. Luke Shen has signed in Tampa.
I heard about that one. Yeah, we talked about that the other day. The Ryan Murray deal is $9.2 million for 2 years.
So 4.6.
Yep.
Okay.
I like that. I like Ryan Murray a lot. I think this is a good move.
Garnet Hathaway signs with the Capitals. The Capitals don't have much room. Not sure what's going on with Russ here. He's muted. Yeah, well, let me just mention quickly because it's compared to some of the other big things that are going on, it's relatively minuscule. But the signing, I haven't seen numbers on the Spezza signing with Toronto, but I like this move a lot for Toronto because Spezza comes in. I would assume he's coming in at a relatively low price. Okay, Corey Perry, $1.5 million with Dallas.
Yeah, with Dallas.
With incentive bonuses that could get it up to $3.25 million. So Dallas is adding Perry and reportedly Pavelski. So that's, those are two pretty good ads. I mean, Perry, it's a 1-year deal, so there's not a lot of risk. Toronto's doing the same type of thing with Spezza. I mean, it's probably going to be a low amount. I'd say 1.5, something in that area. He'll be your fourth line center. Will probably play on the second power play, be a face-off guy. This is something. I think that it's a good move. And like I was talking about Freddie Gauthier before, Freddie Gauthier will be either on the Toronto Marlies or another NHL team next year because Betts will be the fourth line center. Russ, Luke Shen to Tampa. Corey Perry signs with Dallas.
Wait, Luke Shen?
Luke Shen.
Wow.
Yeah,
Luke Shen to Tampa. Last time we saw him was on the ice at when the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup.
I know. I saw Luke Shen in person a couple of games during that Cup run.
Yeah,
he's still in pretty good shape, but he just can't skate well enough to stay in this league. So that's like a guy that you could bring up and plug in here and there when you need to. I was just on the phone. I think we all should. I'm going to go back to the Rangers for 1 second, but I think we should all remember Artemi Panarin will be playing on the other side of Kaapo Kakko.
That's right. Look out. Jeez.
I mean, let's not forget that. While we're worried about Chris Kreider and Kravtsov if he can do anything, they drafted Kaapo Kakko, who now can play with Artemi Panarin.
Yeah, and in 3 years, that might not be such a good thing if Kakko scores a ton of points and then they have to sign him to a big deal.
That'll be a good thing if he scores a ton of points, Mike.
It doesn't matter. If Kakko scores a lot of points,
you know what I'm saying.
I know.
All right, so we've had two RFAs here signed, which is interesting. So in Meyer and Murray. And what I think is kind of, and also, by the way, Gustav Nyquist could be an option for the Islanders. I was just texted. The Islanders are not happy. Obviously Lou will always have plan B's and C's, but I think they really felt confident about this one. Anyway, so, but here's what I wrote this morning as my blog. And I think that this is the most interesting thing that's going to happen all day today is we are finding out what's going on with the RFAs is that they are going to get short-term contracts. And this is going to be the case with Marner and I think Provorov. We're looking at guys that are going to get 3 to 5 years versus, these big giant contracts that we were talking about. And that's an issue because obviously, like you said, Mike, it takes them to free agency or just into free agency or.
Well, Russ, that was the one I wanted to talk to you about, and we can discuss this.
Okay.
Timo Meier signed 4 years with San Jose, $6 million AAV, which means they're walking him to free agency, to UFA.
Still a bargain, though.
Yeah, it's a bargain, but they didn't buy any unrestricted years, and this is the thing.
I know.
The talk has been in regards to other free agents. Line A is for one, Matthew Tkachuk. And then Marner, we talked about, Elliot Friedman reported last week that there was a 2-year, $8 million per offer to Marner. Now, the thing is, I can't see the Leafs doing that when you're seeing Timo Meier signed for 6 for 4 years.
A bailout move, too. Like, why would he do that?
Who, for Marner?
Yeah, why would Marner even do that and have to renegotiate all over again in a couple of years?
Because right now the Leafs don't have the cap space, and the cap is at 81.5, and in 2 years the cap is going to explode because of the new U.S. TV contract and expansion, and he probably can get his big deal then.
I'll tell you what. If I'm Mitch Marner's agent, I say, hey, Kyle, figure it out, and I'll come to camp when you have my deal now.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if he tries to do a Nylander, he's going to remain unsigned for the year because they can't do what they did last year.
They can't afford to play without Mitch. This is a whole different
I agree, but I'm just saying they can't go down that road because the Leafs will not be able to fit him under the cap.
They will find a way, Mike. They will have to trade somebody.
Well, they won't do it.
More on the crazy rumor thing, and I want to talk to Karine about this one. Go ahead, you finish your
No, I mean, jump in this.
Oh, I know. You know where I stand.
If it comes down to it and Marner gives that demand to the Leafs, that the Leafs are going to say, yeah, go ahead and sit out, their playoff hopes might be teetering at that point if they do that.
They're already teetering.
Right.
No, they're not. That's horse.
Well, no, because
they don't have a defense yet, Mike. They don't have a defense. You have to have a defense before you can make the playoffs, especially in that division. Florida is getting better. Everyone's getting better. I mean, it's like the reality is Buffalo's going to be better.
Again, we're at 12-14 on July 1. We've got until September.
I know, but there's only a limited number of players available out there. There's only a limited number.
They're not going to go into free agency for defense. They're going to make trades.
Okay. All I'm saying is this, though. If Marner gives them a demand, they will not let him sit out the whole year. They will not, because they will get destroyed by everybody, and probably including the board of directors for their own organization.
Can I tell you the thing? This is the thing that has really disappointed me about Dubas in this whole situation. And yes, if he ends up doing this perfectly and they get everything they need, I will apologize. But what I am saying right now is that the GMs, I deal with almost all the GMs, not all of them. A couple of them won't talk to me, but almost all of them. And the one thing I feel that Dubas has never done well is like leveled planning. Like, okay, so you have, they've already traded Marleau, right? They've already traded Zaitsev and
Connor Brown,
all knowingly to make cap space for Marner. That's why they're doing it. Without that, they don't do that.
Right.
So, and yet they don't know what Marner's deal is. Like, the point of the matter is, like, most GMs would know the Marner situation first. They would have a resolution. They would make those trades.
That's not their fault. They're dealing with an agent and with a father of a player who are playing games.
But then you can't make those moves until
You have to.
But then what are you going to do with this cap space that you have if Marner's just sitting on the sidelines all year?
You keep it in reserve because you're hopeful that you get a deal before the beginning of training camp. But you had to make those moves when you had to strike while the iron was hot. Marleau was at 62.25 for the last year of his deal. He was in decline. They needed to make the move to get cap space. They gave up the first round pick. Now they had some wiggle room. They used that to sign Janssen and Kapanen. That was a good exchange. Now, ideally, even I don't think Marner is going to hold out. I don't think it's going to be the entire year, but they're not going to be held up like they were for Nylander, and that's the problem. This should have been the one problem I had with Dubas was he capitulated at the 11th hour to Nylander. He should have traded him. Or he should have told him, go sit in Sweden for the rest of the year. Brian Burke said basically the same thing. And I said that leading up to December 1st, you let not a marginal player, but you let a complimentary guy play like he was the king of the hill. And he was not. So, when Marner is one of their better players, he's probably going to use the same playbook. And now they have to be really authoritarian with him to the point that they're saying, well, maybe we won't want to match your offer sheet. We know that Marner wants to play in Toronto. It's got to have to be a compromise number and not exactly what Mitch Marner, Paul Marner, and Darren Ferris want.
Of course, and that's the way every negotiation works, right? And I don't want to spend. I mean, we will spend plenty of time on this over the next several weeks, I'm sure. But I think that what has to be kind of known here is that the whole crap of like we'll match any offer that's made, and that now they said they won't, but they still everybody kind of knows they will, is like really like is really kind of the kind of thing that if your Marner pisses you off because it's like I'm sitting here and you're not willing to give me a great offer unless I get it from someone else and then you'll snatch it. It's like that puts Marner in a situation to have to negotiate with other teams to get his contract better in Toronto.
No, it puts Marner in a position of negotiating in good faith and being reasonable on a deal.
But he's not. But there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah. Why should he be reasonable?
There's no way the Leafs are going in good faith.
Right.
Why not?
Why should he risk injury with a 2-year deal? Why should he do that?
Well, they want to sign him to an 8-year deal. He doesn't like the number.
Well, get the number right then. That's what they have to do.
Yeah, but they're not going to pay him more than Austin Matthews or John Tavares. He's a winger. He's not a center.
Right, they shouldn't do that. But if that's what he wants, then they're at an impasse. So if they're at an impasse, they have to move him.
No,
they have to trade him and move him because otherwise you're stuck.
There's not going to be a trade.
Here's what they do. Tavares is cap hit's 11. Matthews is 11.6.
Yeah.
We'll give you 11.5. Sign now. And that's it. He'll sign.
Yeah, a little bit better than Tavares, less than Matthews.
Right, but they want to pay him 11.5. They would say that amount. They want him for 8 years.
Right.
Zuccarello is official. And
you know what? I don't want 8 guys. We'll do it for 7, and we'll talk then. At some point, they are going to have to cave in because otherwise,
that's the thing. They're not going to cave in.
All right, let's move on. We got some actual news, actual breaking news, and this is. I mean, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna have plenty of time to talk about this.
Right.
Zuccarello has officially with the Wild signed 5 years, $30 million.
$6 million per.
That's a little bit less than he was expecting.
I'm surprised they did it for 5. I heard 3 was going to be it.
But I think they definitely went on term and less money per year. You know, they did that.
Yeah.
So.
Jan, can you hear me?
I'm good now. Sorry about that.
Okay.
And also Green, the official Kinkaid is official.
Can you hear that?
Yeah. So according to Larry Brooks, by the way, the rumor is 11.6 mil AAV on Panarin, but nothing confirmed yet.
Yeah, we saw a report of 12 million. So
it'll be somewhere close. I think with Zuccarello, this is good for Minnesota because Zuccarello could play with a guy like Donato on the other side and really bring him along because Donato isn't the fastest player, but he has a great shot and he's got a lot of hockey sense. And Zuccarello's got a lot of that too. And
he also brings some definite locker room presence that they need in Minnesota really badly.
Yeah,
and
all of that.
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, Minnesota. This is a really good move. This is Fenton's best move so far. Fenton has made some questionable moves. This is a good one. Jason
Spezza, 1 year with the Leafs, $700,000. He took league minimum.
Yeah, that's a good deal. That's a
fantastic deal. And I will go on the record right now and tell you that Spezza will at least put in 10 to 15 goals for you guys. And I think that'll be.
Well, he hasn't put in 10 in a few years.
I know, but this is Spezza is an emotional guy who plays on emotion and rides on emotion. And the fact he's like playing for his childhood team, there's going to be enough that he's going to come out really hot and probably get like 8 goals in the first couple of months or something like that. You know, and play like that. That's what I would predict to happen here.
I like that signing a lot for the Leafs.
Kinkaid 1.75 in Montreal.
Smart.
All right, what are your thoughts?
Let's ask this question. Hold on.
Let's go. I want to get Green's thoughts on Kinkaid for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a good signing actually because the guy's played like 2 seasons of 40 games.
Yeah,
and we probably just need him to be, able to give Carey Price a good 20 games, and that will be fine. So I think it's a good investment, really.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I got the Panarin number. It's 11.6, so it's 81.2.
That was what Jan said.
Yeah, so I think that is what it is. If that's the case, he did leave some money on the table, and that's good.
He may have left up to almost $1 million a year on the table because there's rumors the Islanders may go to 12.5.
Getting up to Kinkaid, back to Kinkaid though, he's cheaper than some other goalies. Some other Philly goalies. He's cheaper than Elliott.
I know.
Cheaper than Talbot also.
I would take Kinkaid over both of them.
Cheaper than James Reimer. Sorry.
No, definitely cheaper.
Rough crowd.
Heck, you muted yourself again.
But you know what's funny? Everybody says
I'll be right back.
Reimer is the nicest guy in the world, and it's true. He is the nicest guy in the world. You never want to say anything bad about James Reimer, except if you're Mike. But he really is a sweet guy.
Well, I have nothing but good things to say about James Reimer as a person. As a goaltender, I think he's incredibly average and now below average because in Florida, he cost them playoff spots. They depended on him to be the 1B to Luongo, and Luongo got hurt. They expected him to be a 1A, and he can't be either. So he's the most overpaid goaltender in the NHL at $3.4 million. And even if now Carolina retains him with 50% salary, I don't know who takes him at 1.7 for 3 more years. That's the problem.
Yeah, I like that, Eck. That's good.
What is Eck doing?
His picture that's up. That's like, somebody drew that. I like that.
My son made this picture. I said I needed a banner to put up when I'm on the phone.
Yeah.
So he made this for me, so I'll put this.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah.
Did you see that Hartman signed in Minnesota?
Who did?
Ryan Hartman.
Yes,
Yeah.
1.9.
1.9 mil for 2 years, right? I think.
Yeah, 81.5 for 7 years for Panarin. So that's what we were just mentioning. Let's see here.
So that's 11, a little over 11.6, basically.
Yeah. I'd like to know how they come up with these numbers. You know, like, I mean, well, one thing we probably sure of, I'll bet you anything that the majority of the first, say, 3 or 4 years of Panarin's deal is signing bonus.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was no reason not to, right? I mean, I wrote this in my blog yesterday, and somebody else suggested it. If they front load the deal, which is what the Islanders probably weren't going to do, that would give them potentially a leg up because he's getting a ton of it up front.
Here's the thing. I'm getting a lot of text right from Ranger fans. So here's what I've gotten today so far. Jimmy Vesey is going to score 30 goals elsewhere. I don't think he'll score 30. I think he'll score like 22 if he plays with Eichel, and I think it'll start to trend down after a while. Who's going to play center on the Rangers? Well, they have Zibanejad. I think they'll use Howden. They'll use Anderson. Maybe they'll put Cheadle as a center.
Ryan Strome is their 2C right now.
At the moment, he's the stopgap, but that won't stay forever.
Right. No. For now.
Kravtsov plays center.
Kako can also maybe move to center.
And he could be converted. So they do have a lot of options, but for this year they don't. I get that.
Well, I mean, Nemesnikov can also play center, though. I think they're going to try to move him.
Right.
There are some indications that Anders Lee may be going to the Wild.
Now, we heard that a long time ago.
Right. If that happens,
is he old enough to go to the Wild? I thought they had a cap in terms of how old you have to be now, based on what they signed.
But okay, this is the thing. They've added Zuccarello at $6 million. Now we know they've cleared a lot of cap space, but they've added Zuccarello at $6 million, and if they're adding Lee, that's at least over $6 million. It would make you think that they have deals in place to move Zucker and or Spurgeon, because they have to.
I think it's Zucker. I don't think they're moving Spurgeon.
Okay, maybe they try to re-sign Spurgeon, but and defense, I think they need to keep him. But Zucker, I mean, they could be conceivably adding over $12 million in salary with those. Oh, and Hartman is another 2, so that's $14 million at least.
Wait, you're forgetting though. Again, how long is Dumba out for?
They expect him back for training camp.
Oh, he's going to be back training camp? I thought it was going to be longer. Okay. Never mind.
They expect him back for training camp. Jean-Sebastian D signs with the Sabres for a year, $700,000.
Woo!
Yeah, that's a Rochester move, not a.
Oh yeah.
Hey Russ, I don't know if you guys spoke about it. What do you think about John Gilmore signing a 1-year deal in Buffalo?
I think John Gilmore got more press this offseason than he ever has in his life. I forget, where was he playing, Jan?
Hartford,
well, wasn't Hartford originally.
But he played somewhere else too this year, didn't he? No, maybe it was just Hartford.
Just Hartford.
I don't think John Gilmore's an NHLer. I know he's big. I know he skates okay. I know he's got a pretty good shot. He's not an everyday NHLer. He's not.
I'm hearing a little bit of Dzingel to the Blackhawks.
Okay. We saw something about Anders Lee to the Wild.
I just made a text about that. We'll let you know.
Okay. Now again, we mentioned a few minutes ago. If that's the case, then Lou Lamoriello is, I think, probably the most frustrated man in the tri-state area, because next to the GM of the Knicks, because now he's lost out on Panarin and he's lost out on Lee. I mean, where do they go?
Has anyone, by the way, just throwing this out there because Russ was right on his premonition, has anyone heard anything about Duchene yet?
Not yet.
Isn't that a little bit surprising?
No, I think they're going to the wall on this one, and I think it's going to probably be those things that we all talk about: signing bonus, an extra year.
Yeah, but everybody had Duchene done to the Predators.
I know, but I think they're just, you know what? It's taking a little longer. It's only 12/27.
No, I believe me.
I just think it's that. I'm still getting texts about Ranger fans being worried about the center. Somebody said they had Bupkis at center, and I said, well, he's an RFA. He's not signed yet.
How about Donskoy and Brandon Tanev getting the same AAV?
There's similar players.
I think Donskoy is a way better player than Brandon Tanev.
Well, I guess it shows you but Donskoy is soft as tissue, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Tanev gets paid for a little bit, more truculent. Not a lot, but a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, the $3.5 million is pretty steep for a bottom six winger. You'd prefer to pay less for. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love his work ethic and his energy and his speed, and that game is conducive. His game is conducive with the type of game that teams play. But ideally, you don't want third line, fourth line wingers to be making $3.5 million.
Adam Ziller has a very good point. We were talking earlier, like, hey, now that the Islanders have all this money allocated but didn't get Panarin signed, who are they going to go for? He said maybe they're jumping in on Duchene. It's possible. Like maybe that is the holdup, Beck. Maybe they're our team's jumping in on him now who lost out on Panarin.
Yeah, like the Islanders.
That's what we said.
Yeah, the price is clearly going to go up now if for teams who want him because the teams that have missed out now may want to use the cap room elsewhere.
And how many times over the last 3 years, Zach, have you reported Duchene to Islanders rumors?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, that's another one I want to sign forever, so we never talk about Duchene again. That'll be a good one. It's not until my kids are out of college.
Hang on, I want to know. You would have the better beat on this than anybody in the league. The Islanders didn't pay Tavares that money, but they offered it to him, right?
Yeah.
They didn't spend most of that last year. So now they offered all this supposed money to Panarin, and they didn't sign him, and they didn't sign Ladd, and they didn't sign Leonard. How much more are they going to go over last year's budget than this year, really, in real terms, because they still haven't spent real money?
Yeah, no, you're right. Duchene contract just came out. Sorry. Yeah, so it's going to be with the Nashville Predators.
There you go.
per Dreger,
can we
$28
rewind
million
it and just erase the last 5 minutes?
So $28 million in signing bonuses. The year-by-year total: $10 million, $8 million, $10 million, $8 million, $9 million, $6 million, $5 million.
So he's
the Islanders have to get somebody here.
He's under 9 then, right? 8.5, something like that.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't
we all say this, and I think Jan would agree. The Islanders have to get somebody here of some substance, or their fans are going to kill them, and they might not show up. They may not show up this year.
I can definitely see there, especially with the movement potentially into Elmont down the road, and once the first shovel goes in the ground and they start construction, I think it's going to escalate the need to sign someone. I think they do get a little bit of a pass because of what happened this year, and then making it to the second round and the buzz that was built around this team. But now I think you need to continue that buzz, right? So you didn't bring back Leonard. Right. And if the rumors are that they only offered him a 2-year deal at a 5-year AAV, I can understand very well why he would have turned that down.
Yeah.
But the Islanders clearly weren't convinced of the work he had done last year. So I'm not quite sure why you're pivoting to Semyon Varlamov as opposed to just signing Leonard for the extra year.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't make sense. You can also state that, look, you made the best offer to Panarin. You're going to also have to defend yourself as to why he turned down your best offer to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
True.
So, like, who are they going to get now? Like, they didn't give money to...
I still think they're going to pivot back to Lee to a certain extent.
Well, obviously, they're going
to give in to Lee's demands.
Obviously, Russ, they're going to offer sheet Marner for 20%.
Goodness.
No, but I'm trying to be serious here. Like, I'm thinking like an Islanders fan. All right, so they're going to go back to Lee, and now they're going to try and outbid Minnesota? Is that what they're going to do?
It could very well be, although they would have had a better opportunity signing him a week ago at a lower AAV, because now with the rumors to what he wants, it's going to cost you more money to try to save face.
The Sabres signed Andrew Hammond for 1 year, $700,000. I'm assuming to be the third goaltender behind Allmark and ex-favorite Carter Hutton.
You stop the stimulating conversation for that, really, Andrew Hammond?
I love Carter Hutton.
Mike isn't a hamburger, so you know why he brought it up.
Yeah, that's true. But let's think about this. Like, who are the Islanders going to get now?
I mean, I would think Dzingel would be one guy that potentially could have gone after.
Okay.
I think Lee is another one. Look, for all we know, Leonard may have closed the door on the Islanders.
Oh, I think
the question is whether or not the Islanders go back and try to revert and try to get him.
Yeah, I think the door is shut because of the years. I mean, I talked about it on this show for a while now because I had gotten that word that it was the years that was going to stop the Islanders. But, like, they need some offense here. They're going to have to sign Barzal at some point, too. Just because they don't have to. They're going to want to, because if they wait for the new rink and he has another 80-point year, they're going to be spending a boatload on Matt Barzal.
Yeah. Okay, so the Wild, per my sources, are not in on Anders Lee.
Okay.
And are not going to trade Zucker.
Wow.
What? Right now.
Right now, that'll change again.
Right.
Who's been circulated more in the last 6 months, Zucker or Rasmus Ristolainen?
Yeah, that's true.
I think Ristolainen. I think Zucker is just more recent.
The Oilers are close to re-signing Alex Chason.
Donskoy is supposedly official signing with Colorado.
Okay.
Wow, it's going to get really interesting.
Oh,
soon.
Scott Darling has officially cleared waivers. I thought somebody would claim him.
Nope.
I tried to, but I'm not allowed to. I'm not a hockey team.
So Duchene's deal has a no trade clause the last 3 seasons of the contract.
The Islanders are trying to trade for Panarin.
What?
Kidding. Just a joke. I'm kidding.
Don't joke at this time.
Yeah, please.
I heard again to Zingle to the Hawks. I'm give it an A4. There you go. E4. Sorry.
Ryan Carpenter to the Hawks, 3 years, $1 million.
I meant Ryan Carpenter to the Hawks. Just kidding. I thought we were losing it here.
Wow.
Losing it slowly. Sorry.
Hey Russ, what did you think of what Meyer did in terms of basically signing for a shorter term deal at less dollars to save it to become a UFA a little closer?
Who was it? It broke up a little.
Timo Meyer.
Oh, Timo Meyer. I thought
what do you think of only doing a 4-year deal, and then also in terms of the dollars that San Jose gave him?
I mean, right now in the situation they're in, that deal's a bargain. They needed a bargain. He likes it there, so they're not that much at risk at losing him. And at that point, they will lose some big contracts, so they could still keep him. I think it's a good play, because right now they got him at a very respectable rate for the kind of play he's given them. All right, here's who I came up with for the Islanders, because I'm looking over the list. I am going to go with either Wayne Simmonds or Colin Wilson on offense. That's what I'm going with.
Wow. Slim pickings.
I mean, they lost out on every big player here. I mean,
they are getting. I mean, I do like. We talked about this. I do like Varlamov. Actually, I do like the signing of Varlamov.
Okay, but we're just talking about offense. Forgetting about the goaltending, offensively, Ek, if they don't get Lee back, there's nobody here on
the Red Wings have signed Val Fippola.
Okay,
he's
right. That's another.
Well, it was in Tampa. Was in Detroit before that, so I bet you that's a very, very minimum type of deal.
I think that's a great deal for them.
Russ, I didn't get a chance.
Really good.
I know you know what he's going to do this year. What do you think of the return the Rangers got?
Okay, wait. I'm going to answer that in a minute. I've got another name for the Islanders, and I think this could happen. Michael Furlan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
I could see that. All right, so now the return they got for
Vesey.
For Vesey, was it a third rounder?
Yeah, in 2021.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, again, they signed Jimmy Vesey as a free agent. They developed him. He was 16 goals, 17 goals, 17 goals. A good player. I don't know why people were expecting more than that out of him. Just because I talked about Vesey in really glowing terms didn't mean I meant he was an NHL superstar. He's a decent NHL player. Like, this is when you get somebody from college and you could get these numbers out of him. That's a success. Third round pick is fine. I mean, again, asset wise,
Myers to Vancouver is official.
Who is
Myers to Vancouver?
5 years, 30.
Okay.
I've not heard the term yet.
Okay. No, that's a big sign. We'll talk about that in a minute. End of the day, Jan, they got a pick back that's at least of decent value, and they needed that money clearly. So that it worked out, I think.
My view on this is, look, I think a lot of us, including myself, overrated what you would have expected to get out of VC. He is a good or a solid third-line player, in my opinion, a borderline second-line player, depending on who's around him. I would have obviously. I think they don't think they could have gotten a third rounder this year because I don't think Buffalo has one in 2020. So to get for them to get an asset down the road that they can utilize for something that they needed to clear cap room, and we knew they were probably going to move him anyway, is probably as best as you could expect it. And for Buffalo, they get a year to see what Vesey does before they decide what kind of contract. This will be a UFA after the season, and they get a year to see whether or not he fits into their long-term plans for the cost of a third rounder.
Okay.
Oh, so here's something fun. Duchene has a 7-team, no trade clause. So he's led 7 teams in the final 3 seasons of his deal.
So limited no trade.
I'm getting a sense of deja vu all over again.
Yeah. So what team do you think he picked? Let's just throw
Colorado.
Colorado. Yeah, he's not going back.
Ottawa.
Not going back. Not going to Ottawa. Yeah.
So those are 2.
Yeah.
Arizona.
Maybe Arizona's a nice place to live. That's possible. It could be. I mean, he's got to think what this is a 7-year deal. So this is 5 years from now, like 4 years from now.
Boston because he hates clam chowder.
Yeah.
I'm going Buffalo.
Yeah, maybe.
He doesn't like me. Darren Drager reports nothing done with Jake Gardiner yet, but interest has picked up. He is considering a number of different scenarios. That's definitive.
Most of which include playing hockey, I assume.
All right, here's a legit question. Jason asked me, is Josh Hostang still in the future for the Islanders, or could he be a buy low, high reward player for another team? Right now, I don't think the Islanders are going to rush and trade him today. I think they would be smart to bring him into camp and let Trotz work with him one more time and be certain that it's not going to work for him there, because there is still something they could do with him if they try. Now, again, I always go back to some teams just don't want to develop players at the NHL level anymore. Some coaches don't want to do it. A lot of them don't, and they don't want to really work with these players very much. But right now, if I'm the Islanders and I'm looking for extra goals, I think I have to hold on to Josh Hostang and try one more time. I think I do.
You don't think he's burnt? You don't think he's burnt his bridges with that team?
I don't care. I mean, it's like I need goals, and if I don't have guys who can get them, he still has a lot of skill. They didn't trade him yet, Jan, so they could have traded him at the draft. And I also think I have to put Dal Cole in the lineup every day now and just see what I get out of him too.
Karine, let me ask you a question about because Gardiner has been attached to Montreal in rumors. We know that they have the right side fairly sewn up, at least in the top 4, with Weber and Petrie. The left a little sketchy.
Let's all say the least, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's why I think that there should be genuine. I'm of interest in this because I'd like to see the Leafs benefit from his defensive miscues, and that will only happen if he plays for another Atlantic Division team. But what do you think of the possibility of Gardiner in Montreal?
Well, right now, looking at what's available on the market, there's not much left, and the Diabs definitely have a need there on the left side of the defense.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, I feel Bergevin might have painted himself into a corner because he got rid of Shaw, made room on the salary cap, and nothing's happening just yet for the Canadiens. I mean, he didn't need that room to sign Kinkaid. Duchene's gone now. I mean, I know that people are dreaming about signing maybe Lee or someone who can put the puck in the net, but the most important need is actually on defense.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised to see Jake Gardiner land there. I've not seen him play that much. All I've heard is Leafs fans saying he's absolute crap. But how much of that is actually true?
No, I would attest to that. But I would say this, that if you put him with Shea Weber, that Weber could cover up a number of the defensive miscues that
could he, because if you looked at the end of the last season with the Canadiens, Weber, I was sure, was playing injured toward the end, but he wasn't, and he was actually really slow and really easy to overtake. So
he was definitely playing hurt. He was playing hurt
I mean, if he was playing hurt, because they were in the playoff race till the final weekend. I mean, that would be an excuse why. But I mean, if he's completely healthy and close to the Shea Weber that we know, then I think he could be somebody who Gardiner could sort of play off of and be the guy who carries the puck, and Weber would be the guy who was the defensive stalwart who could cover up for him.
All right, well, look behind me.
Yep. Okay, well, let me before you go offer sheet here, just one thing. John Shannon reporting Myers 5 years, $30 million, so $6 million per. And if Peter was on the show right now, his head would explode.
And Drager, I think, tweeted out the numbers. I think it's $16 million in a signing bonus.
Correct.
That's not a terrible signing. It's not.
No. Go ahead.
Okay.
We have offer.
Is it better than Brandon Tanev for 6 years?
Do we have offer sheet music?
Yeah, we don't have offer sheet music, but we have the offer sheet Narwhal, who's back behind us. Neither exists, offer sheets or narwhals, so that's why that's back there. Okay. So this again, more rumors about Montreal and Sebastian Aho. This from a source saying that the teams continue to talk trade for Sebastian Aho, and that that the Canadiens have threatened offer sheets a couple times, even in the last hour.
Ooh.
All right, so. Threatened. And that like I said before, part of the return would be Jonathan Drouin heading to Carolina.
Oh my God!
And Karine, thoughts on this?
I'm not sure Bergevin is actually ready to give up on Drouin. It would be like admitting that he made a mistake. I'm really not sure, and I don't see why Carolina would pick up Drouin right now either.
Well, I mean, if you're going to give Aho away, you got to give Aho away, or if you're not going to sign Aho, put it that way. Drouin's not a bad person.
Why are you giving him away? Because you're a cheapskate?
Yeah, because Drouin is what is his contract is like $4.5 million.
5.5 or 6, I think.
Okay, almost. I don't think it's maybe 5 something, right? So.
Oh my God!
Can I say something? I don't understand this public perception of Jonathan Drouin. He's a 50-something point guy. He was always going to be that. I don't know why people thought he'd be more than that, and I don't know why this is all of a sudden so disappointing. It shouldn't be.
Well, the fact is that Drouin played with Domi most of the year last season, and he was actually quite good for 3/4 of the year. But then he was asleep for the other quarter. He barely did anything in the last quarter when we needed him, when they needed him to make the playoffs.
Right.
He's only 24. It's not like this guy's 28 where you could say, all right, you know what? He's never getting any better. You still could get better.
Ross, this is Montreal.
I know.
Montreal has no patience and no common sense. I mean, it's
no patience for sure.
Well, no.
And I find it fascinating that that there seems to be now there's a little soap opera developing on this. Like when I usually don't get rumors that have this much detail. So the fact that
would they actually just want Drouin for Aho? Straight 1-for-1.
I don't think it would be. I don't know who would you trade 1-for-1 for Aho?
Well, the rumor seems to be Drouin, but that doesn't.
It wouldn't be.
Seem
No, I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be straight. I think Drouin would be the biggest name in it.
Right.
And if you are Carolina, you get a guy who is price fixed, and that helps you because if Aho is going to be a $9 million player, you're saving probably $3 million at least, right? So.
Right. Yeah, Drouin is 5.5. I just
5.5. Okay, so 3.5, right? So if they're going to give Aho, I think it's insane. I think Aho is a great player. I think it's and part of this, it's always hard to tell. I mean, not with this particular source who I trust, but it's hard to tell. Like we talked about Carolina rumors, a lot of people want to make Carolina look like idiots all the time.
I mean, the problem with this is that Montreal would be getting the better player, and there's no reason in this that Carolina. I mean, I'm not saying pay whatever Aho wants, but the guy, as Russ said, he's a top 15 player in this league.
Right.
You don't trade those guys away in contract disputes. You pay them.
Right.
Curtis Lazar signs a 1-year deal with the Sabres. Not the biggest.
The Sabres are just filling up Rochester. Here's the other thing.
Lazar actually could make the team.
He's not making the team.
Okay.
Answer me this question.
Yeah.
Drouin scored 15 even strength goals. Honestly, how many more players on the team had more than that?
Not many, I'm guessing. Well, yeah. Gallagher's got a lot. He's got
over 30. Yeah.
But you get the idea. It's like I get expectations, but he does produce So, like, look, if Carolina got Drouin and maybe a couple of firsts or something like that, I won't totally kill Carolina because at least you will get at least 50-something points out of Drouin where, yeah, you're not going to get 80 out of Aho, but maybe those firsts turn into something. If they don't get one first in this and it's Drouin and just like, I don't know, Hudon and a second or something, I'll kill Carolina because then what Mike said is true. And again, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this anymore for Carolina's sake because we've seen too many things happen that if it were happening to other teams in the league, people would be killing them. People are just holding back on Carolina now. That's all that's happening.
That is why, like, people like Elliot Freeman are throwing out there the concept of offer sheets with Carolina because everyone knows offer sheets are ridiculous. But with Carolina, it's hard to like say if they're not living in like, you know, what the Superman Bizarro land.
No,
with
Carolina. With Carolina, the rules don't apply because with other teams, they'll match the offer sheet or they'll basically with Carolina, I don't care what Don Waddell says. I think there's a 50-50 chance they won't match.
Yeah, how do you not sign your best player to a more than reasonable contract to somebody who you built your team around and who wants to be there? It just is, it's unfathomable to me in terms of granted, look, it's not my money, but you're nickel and diming over stupidity, especially if you actually would match it. You've now just created ill will for absolutely no reason.
So Lance in the chat room brings up a good name that we have to, I'm just going to say this because every time I've said this today, it has happened the next second. We haven't yet heard Pavelski news. Right, so let's see what happens there because that's got to be one of the next things.
Just as you mentioned him, Mac, in about 5 minutes he'll be signed.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to do that, and meanwhile, I'm going to move the narwhal back.
Yeah, it was it was $8 million for 7 years for Duchene. So
that's a good deal. I mean, that's, you know what? Maybe the Islanders will trade for Kyle Turris. Like they're going to have to do something here.
Brett Connolly, 4 years with the Panthers, $13 million. So that's
a great signing for the Panthers. It is.
That's 3.25 a year.
But Russ, what do you think about them signing Strawman for 3 years at 16.5?
Not a horrible signing. It's just I said before, Jan, Strawman. I think the tread's off the tire on that one. I think if they're expecting him to be a really solid defender for him for whoever plays in net, I think they're going to be underwhelmed by that.
Donskoy gets $3.9 million AAV for 4 years from Colorado.
So we got the extra year because it was rumored to only be 3 years originally.
Okay. Steve Higashi is like screaming, no Turris, no Turris. Okay, Steve, you tell me who the Islanders are going to get now to replace these players that are pretty much gone.
Especially if Nashville retains, because Nashville is going to have to retain salary.
Retain money, absolutely.
He's a $6 million cap hit for 5 years, and Nashville would die to get rid of him.
Well, let's say, last year we were all ripping Lamoriello and basically saying that the team was going to go nowhere. So you know what? I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. Because of what happened last year, and none of us expected them to have this kind of a rise.
That criticism was just delayed 1 year. It was like me predict.
Only delayed 1 year. We'll keep that in mind moving forward. What is this, a freezing cold take now, Mike?
Yeah, Jen, it's like I predicted the Ottawa Senators to finish last in the league, and it happened to be the year they went to the conference final and 1 goal away from the Stanley Cup. The next year they almost finished last. So I was right, but I was just right a little early.
So it's the adage of you'd rather be a year too early than a year too late.
No, but I think Mike is right because, Jan, until some of these young guys that they drafted are ready for the NHL from a few years ago, right now, the team right now is going to have to super overperform again like last year to even have a sniff at the playoffs. That doesn't happen very often 2 years in a row. Like Carolina's probably not going to do it, and the Islanders probably aren't going to do it.
Now,
it is fair to criticize them for the fact that right now, Anders doesn't seem to be returning. Leonard seems all but gone. They lost out on Panarin. You tell me what Islander fans have to be happy about right now because they haven't even broken ground on the arena. Be fair about this. Tell me what they have to be happy about.
Well, no, I agree. This is a tough spot for them for sure. I mean, there's nothing there. I mean, they have to be happy about the fact that they made the playoffs last year,
right?
And won around, and then the Rangers didn't do that.
They have great coaching, they do, but this just may not be their year if they don't get the right guys signed.
I really think that their guy now has to be Gustav Nyquist. He's the guy I think that they have to go for because he's definitely a Lou type of player.
Well, Nyquist was in the mentioned in connection to Buffalo and a number of mid-range free agents like Marcus Johansson. Sabres really haven't done anything other than the VC trade and filled up Rochester. So,
but you guys pointed out Nyquist is actually better than a mid-level free agent.
No,
let me ask you a question, Mike. What are you considering mid-level, right? Because I think there wasn't the rumors out there Johansson wanted about $4.5 to $5 million.
Right. I'm not Duchene, not Panarin, not the top level, but guys who I'd say mid-level is Nyquist through, say, Wayne Simmonds.
All right, guys, the Islanders are officially talking again to Anders Lee.
According to John Shannon, Nyquist is heading to Columbus.
Yeah.
Nyquist heads to Columbus. There you go, see? I told you I would get him signed somewhere. I have to mention him.
Now it's funny. Corey Perry,
great signing for Columbus. Great signing.
Yeah, Corey Perry got signed at 12:01. You know, basically, I mean, it was rumored that he was going to get signed by Dallas, and it happened rather quickly. The other prominent buyout was Dion Phaneuf. I haven't heard his name mentioned once.
Yes, but it's Phaneuf.
Right.
Who wants that?
That's why you haven't heard it, Mike.
He's gonna go to Ottawa, where all great ex-Leafs go to die.
Well, he's been there already, isn't he?
Right, and they're still paying part of his contract, so he can go back there and they can pay him. They can double dip.
Oh,
I'm gonna ask Eck this question because I think I know the answer. Eck,
yeah,
with Minnesota,
yeah,
because they know they might be able to trade Zucker somewhere. Are they just going to outbid Lou for Lee at this point because he's a local boy?
They don't want Anders Lee. I asked them.
Okay.
It's interesting, but no.
Valtteri Filppula, the 2-year deal with Detroit, $3 million per season. Wow.
What did he make last year? Was it $1 million with the Islanders?
It was not. I'll check.
He did better than any of us imagined. He did.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Islanders end up getting Anders Lee back, that saves a little bit. I mean,
yeah, but you talk about the Islanders, but the Canadiens are exactly in the same spot. They traded away Shaw, and nothing's happening.
Right? They know they have. There has to be something.
Is really annoyed if you consider that they have plenty of cap space last season as well, and they did nothing with it.
Well, they're not doing anything with free agency, but that there are a lot of trades that have to come because we have these RFAs have to get fit in. So.
Phil was making 2.75 last year, so you got a pay increase.
To me, it's if I'm a team right now, I would like to leave myself some cap space because of those trades. Like look at what Ottawa just did. Ottawa just got you can get players for almost nothing.
Well, Ottawa is like 10 million, something like 10 million under the cap floor.
Right. But if you have that money, I mean, there are teams like the Lightning are going to have to move players.
Right, and that's counting like Marian Gabourik's contract that's not on long-term injury. I mean, even count they could be the home for David Clarkson's contract with Vegas because David Clarkson was paid a bonus this today. And now it's like a $1 million salary for a $5.25 million cap hit. That might be possible. Yeah. Brett Ritchie, 1 year, $1 million with the Bruins.
That's not keep me awake.
What's that?
That's not going to keep me awake.
Okay.
Who was he with? Who was that signing?
He was with Dallas.
Okay. No, but where is he signing now?
Boston.
Okay. Boston making their first move.
That's not much of a move, but okay.
No, I mean, Boston said they weren't doing anything today. But
I
they
know.
Really did.
That's fine.
Well, they lost Achari, so they did something. They watched him say goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have them. They don't have much money at all to do anything.
I would think Nyquist gets over $5 million on a deal.
Yeah, I mean, Columbus has all sorts of money.
Right.
And they'll also. I mean, I think that's a really good move.
I will not read you what number Cody Ceci will be wearing in Toronto because that's not really interesting.
At this point, go ahead and read it, Mike.
Well, if you tell us like that, my God.
Well, he wore 5 in Ottawa for their career, but that's retired.
According to McKenzie, 4 years, $5.5 million per AAV for Nyquist.
There you go. About right. Makes sense. But he can't wear number 5 in Toronto because it's retired for Bill Barilko.
Right.
So he is contemplating wearing number 83, which is the number that he wore in junior. And I do not believe anybody has ever worn 83 in a league.
The first time someone actually used subtraction, like 8 minus 3 is 5.
There you go.
That's true. Heck, let me ask you this question. We now know what the Nyquist contract is. Why wouldn't the Islanders sign him for something?
I don't know. I mean, I'm telling you that's I would have given Nyquist 6.
Yeah, I mean that's a reasonable deal. He's got a lot of skill. He does.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, you know, I think that has to have something to do with like probably maybe Lou has already spent his money on Anders Lee. And we don't know it. You know.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that if he's going like that.
Hey, Alex Chason is re-signed in Edmonton.
Awesome move by Edmonton.
That's a great move. Yeah, Alex Chason. I thought Philly might be interested in him. What did Chason get again?
It hasn't. It just that he's re-signed. Nothing.
2 years, 2.15 per.
Yeah.
You know?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's reasonable. He gets to play with McDavid.
But he was really good for Edmonton.
Instead of Tyratty.
Yeah, it's an upgrade over Tyratty. Fair point.
Slight. Yeah.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
All right. So the teams we are now on the lookout for Montreal and the Islanders to do something here, because those are two teams and Columbus, but now Columbus has done something.
Curtis McElhinney, 2-year deal with Tampa, 1.3 AAV. So that good, getting waived by Toronto, getting claimed by Carolina, and getting the playing time that he did with the Hurricanes got him.
Wait a second. Are we really going to think now that Carolina was offering him less than that?
Yes.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Of course.
What do you think, Eck? I mean, this is where we're at right now.
When I throw out the accusation that they're cheapskates, I'm not saying it because I'm trying to be controversial.
No, but I mean, yeah, I mean, he was like a 1A type starter in Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say he's the one. He was the 1B to Mrazek going down the stretch, but he played 30 games. He played very well. Yeah. He's a great guy. He's a very supportive backup. Like Freddie Anderson and him got along really well in Toronto. It was a big mistake by the Leafs to go with Garrett Sparks over him or Pickard. They did. It turned out to be a disaster for them because I think that cost them second place in the Atlantic Division, not having a good backup. And McElhinney had a great year with Carolina. And now, I mean, this is a good signing for Tampa. Low money, low risk, good veteran guy, smart signing.
Yeah. Wow.
Hey guys, I'll be back. I got a jet for a little bit.
Okay.
Wow. Well, it's 1 o'clock, guys. We're 1 hour into the UFA period, which feels like we're like 16 hours into. But
yeah, I feel like my birthday is just a month away.
The Bobrovsky contract looks like it's official.
What is it?
I don't know, but it is official that Bob will be. It's happening.
Florida.
Well, it's happening. Obviously, going to Florida. My 1E5 from yesterday. Hey.
Well,
nope, you got that.
I don't think. Okay, let's say. Do you think he's getting more than Lundqvist?
Yes.
Yeah, I do think because he's younger. I think. For whatever reason, they're going in really heavy. It's a dangerous thing to do in this era, though, like we've talked about.
So 7 years, Bob, as well.
What's that? I'm sorry, Kareem, what's that?
7 years for Bobrovsky, from what I see.
Okay, so, well,
what's the AAV? Do we know?
Lundqvist is making over. Lundqvist is making over 8, correct?
Yeah, I think he's right.
Yeah,
I'd
be shocked if he gets 10.
Oh, I would drop dead if he got 10. Like right now.
I was told yesterday he's getting 10. So
oh my God,
I might die on the show because 10 you shouldn't give to anybody.
The least amount it'll be is 9.5.
Right.
Jesus.
But it very well might be 10.
I would insure his groin for $8 million right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make any short or long jokes about that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of Aho to Montreal jokes out there too. We're not going to touch them.
No.
What, Aho? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. We don't need to go there, Mike.
Gabriel Dumont signs with the Minnesota Wild, longtime Lightning farmhand. The Rangers officially announced the Panarin signing. Great, that was only an hour ago.
Yeah.
Yep. Boy, I think all right, it's official. I was right, guys. Hey, give me some credit for this. Once in a while, even a broken clock's right. Isn't that what you guys all say?
Yeah, right twice a day.
That's right. 7 years, 10 million per.
Oh my god! Wow.
There you go.
So he's the second highest paid goaltender in the NHL, next to Carey Price.
I'm speechless, man. I mean, there's a point where,
and Russ, that's a real 10 million. That's no state. Then he actually is, in terms of, Karine, Carey Price is getting 10.5 million, but he's getting it with Quebec taxes. I know that there's something with the signing bonus where he avoids that. This is a real 10 million. Listen to this, folks. Sergei Bobrovsky is the highest paid goaltender in the NHL, and he's won one playoff round in his entire friggin' career. What a joke.
I mean, look, they've got a great coach. They have a good team. They are close. But my problem with this is he does have an injury history, and you're just like, basically, I'm sure they're going to insure the contract, so that's not the end of the world. But we're talking $10 million for 7 years. It's a big thing for a goalie who has an injury history. Like, it's just, I couldn't do it. There's no way I could do it.
Yeah.
And again, you talk to Peter Luco and you talk to people there. Is this going to bring the fans back? Because if it doesn't, they could lose a lot of money, even if they're successful.
If it doesn't,
yeah, I mean, to be fair, Peter Luco hasn't been around there for a while. They haven't talked to him in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I don't know what the feelings are with the thought of this with him.
And if it doesn't sell tickets in Florida, it'll sell tickets in Quebec City.
But there is Luco and Talon, and I will say this. Okay, I think that this was part of their pitch to Joel Quenneville.
Yes,
and I think that the fact that this was part of their pitch to Joel Quenneville made them kind of have to go this high.
According to Elliot Friedman, the first 5 years of the 7-year deal, there is a no movement clause.
In what, the first how many years?
First 5 of the 7 years.
Oh.
Okay.
So that's, and I'm sure this is front loaded with heavy signing bonus. Richard Panik signs a 4-year deal with the Capitals, $11 million.
Wow.
Can we talk about him being maybe the most overrated guy in this whole process?
Yeah.
This is an example of really of kind of lower tier players making middle to higher tier money.
Right. This is good, Russ. James Dolan must be super mad Panarin chose to pay for the Rangers over the Knicks.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, let's be real. The Knicks have been the driver and the more successful team in MSG for a very long time. That's the way it is.
I'm going to say this just so it gets announced. We have not heard the Varlamov thing officially, have we?
No.
Not yet.
All right.
You get double bonus points. If
Varlamov, Gardiner,
right.
Simmonds.
Matt Molson.
Martin Prince. Oh, no, that's right. He signed.
Nothing at all said about Patrick Laine today, right? So that's another kind of interesting thing that's out there that no one really is paying attention to for some reason.
What about Patrick Laine?
Well, an RFA, right? I mean, so correct. Not losing my mind there. They have to sign him, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I mean, that we've talked plenty about Marner and other people, so I'm saying it's
right, and actually, it's a double whammy for Winnipeg because they have Connor and Laine, and I think the thing is they may want to sign both of them to bridge deals because it's probably easier for them. But these guys probably want the long-term money, obviously.
Here's an interesting thing about Panik, right?
Yeah.
So
he scored 20 goals with playing with Kane and Taves.
Right. Then he had 14 last year. But how much ice time did he play to get those 14 goals? 16 minutes and 37 seconds. It's just I mean, he's got some skill. I get it. But it's come on. And 13 were even strength. I give him credit for that. But you can't pay him like that. You just can't.
No, they did. They did.
Wow.
I mean, it's unbelievable. This guy has struck gold. He really has, because he literally, how many goals do you think he has in his NHL career?
Panik?
Less
than 100.
Yep. 75 goals in 7 years. 75 goals, and he's getting paid this kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts, huh?
It's just whatever.
I know. 1 second, just gotta put something up real fast.
Zuccarello has a full no-move clause plus a 10-team no-trade list on his deal. 5 years, $30 million.
Yeah, and he may not play the whole 5 years there. I get it.
Yeah, and I in spite of what your sources are telling you, I still believe I don't buy that all of a sudden they're not trading Zucker. I think they're playing hard to get. Like the Leafs said, we're not going to. Patrick Marleau will be back.
Yeah, I mean, everything that's said, we've talked many times, has like an expiration date on it, right? So this is like, whether this is where they are right now, as of right now, they're not doing it.
Right.
They've nothing interests them. They're not seeking to do it.
So, here's the interesting thing. I read this morning. Spezza signs with the Leafs, league minimum. Spezza wanted to go back to Ottawa.
He did. To
finish his career, and Ottawa said thanks, but no thanks.
Wow.
We talked about him trying to get back to Ottawa on this show.
Yes, wow. We did. And we did, and we thought that with a young team, he's known as a leader. And this team needs to fill space in terms of the cap floor.
Right.
So you would think that this would be a fit. And if, according to what I read, he was spurned by Ottawa. So there you go.
Yeah.
The commentary on their organization.
Well, there's also other things that work there. Like there's
Colin Wilson signs a 1-year deal to stay with the Avs.
Okay.
You got to remember when a player spends a lot of time in a city like Spezza did with Ottawa,
right?
There's other levels of like baggage that occur,
Sure.
And there's certain people at the organization that probably, I mean, he was a fit. It's impossible to sit there and say he wasn't a fit with Ottawa. Like of course he's a fit with Ottawa. They just did. He wasn't. I mean, on the rink at least he was. There's no two ways about that. They need anything. They need all the help they can get.
I do want to.
There's obviously something else.
I do want to bring up something. So, I got a text, about Spencer Knight now. Well, why did Florida take him? Okay, Spencer Knight. So 2 or 3 years in college. Maybe he'll over-marinate a little. Maybe he'll go 2 or 3 years in the AHL, and then maybe he'll be the backup to Bob, or Bob will, not even be able to play anymore. I don't think you worry about that, because I think Spencer Knight will get his time. All goalies, drafted or otherwise, know that they are not going to step right in and play for an organization. Even Carey Price didn't do that.
Yeah, right.
Always get that. They do.
All right, just was texted this that the Rangers have had discussions about Kreider with Calgary and Montreal.
Yeah, so surprised. Although I hear there's an agreement, Kreider will sign an agreement that he will not run into Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah, I know. The irony of Kreider in Montreal has to be like, for those who forget what the Kreider collision with
Did anyone forget that?
People not up there, they didn't. But,
not anybody in the province of Quebec.
People around the NHL may forget the year that the Canadiens had their great playoff run where he collides with Price.
JF Berube signs with the Flyers.
Good Lord.
JF Berube. Oh my goodness. What a signing.
All right. I don't even know what to say. That's okay.
You don't have to act. They got it covered for you.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. But Corinne, the funny thing about that is, remember I was in a Canadian bar watching that game. You know why? Because I was covering the Memorial Cup.
Yeah.
And so I think it was after the Memorial Cup final that I was watching that game. I really don't think Kreider ran into him full force on purpose, but I do think Kreider does jam the net. He does.
Yeah.
But I don't think he did it on purpose.
Well,
it's typical.
Any Rangers fan is going to tell you that he didn't and he was tripped and it's not his fault and rah. Whereas every Montreal fan will say, it's Kreider, he did it on purpose, that's what I get it. But whether he did it on purpose or not, he ran into Price got injured, a knee injury, and that's just bad because ever since then, Price has had a nagging knee injury, and that's a big concern for a goaltender.
Yeah, Nick Kypreos didn't want to take out Grant Fuhr.
So
I like how when Karine like does like the American angry voice, she does it with like an American accent. I think that's really great.
Do I know?
You do.
Well, I don't have a Canadian accent anyway because I lived in England for 8 years, so I'm kind of a mix of an accent.
You like definitely get into like the straight.
The Flyers have signed the following UFAs: Andy Andreoff,
right?
Curtis Gabriel, formerly of the Minnesota Wild, I believe.
Yeah.
And Nate Prosser, formerly of the Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
Yes. And JF Berube, who we just mentioned.
So we're bringing the farm system from Minnesota. Fletcher's bringing the farm system over.
Why don't you just sign the entire Iowa Wild? Why not that?
You said Peugeot too, right, Mike?
I did not say Peugeot.
You say John Gabriel.
No, Curtis Gabriel, Andy Andreoff, and Nate Prosser.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know what time we should call this.
Wait a few more minutes. I mean, obviously, the thing about Berube is he's gonna either be the starter for Lehigh or he'll split time with Alex Lyon because he's still under contract.
Let's give it to 1:30. Then it'll be an even 3 hours, and then
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, the things we're still looking for is
Gardiner,
Lee,
Simmonds, Lee.
Yep.
And then we can leave those to tomorrow so we can talk about them.
No, we got plenty. Yeah.
Heck, they want to know out there, is the Girardi to the Flyers rumor dead? Hugo wants to know.
Is the what?
Girardi to the Flyers, is that dead?
No, it's not dead at all. Okay. I mean, I'm not told it's dead. At least I'll text the person right now and see if I get anything back. But yeah, I haven't heard it's dead. I think that it might not be a bad fit for them.
No, I think they could get use out of them. I agree. Hey, I like interviewing them. I'm fine with Dan.
And I think that what's kind of funny about this is not that Tampa actually has a bit of a hole on defense by like losing Strawman and Girardi.
They re-signed Braden Coburn. How could you say
that? Yeah, they kind of have a hole on defense after losing.
They signed Luke Shen. It's taken care of.
Luke Shen versus Strawman. I mean,
I'm just going to warn you. One day, Braden Coburn will go back to Philly and sign that one-day contract. He won't want you in the audience. He won't.
Coburn and I know each other very well. They're friendly. I'd take offense to that. I have nothing against Braden Coburn, nor does he have anything against me.
At least you think so.
No, I know. I've hung out with Braden Coburn. He's a great guy. He's a good.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
He's very. I mean, and I mean, the thing about his game that makes me kind of crazy is I find him incredibly indecisive in his game.
I do want to mention this low. People should check out my article on Jason Spezza on Sportsology because I talked about the 2001 draft and the thinking about Jason Spezza at that time. So I just want to throw that out there.
Oh wait, we have something in the chat room, Thomas.
Yeah, ask me questions.
Let's do that for a second. Let me just.
Okay, Pavelski official with the Stars. 3
I
years, 21 million.
Oof.
7 million per. So basically, they replaced the Spezza contract, which was 7.5, with Pavelski at 7.
I mean, it is an upgrade. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I didn't, I was sort of with you in the sense that, I would think that there was a way that he was going to end up back in San Jose, but we both heard that it was out there that Pavelski was pissed off when they re-signed Evander Kane.
Yeah,
and
this is definitely, and the fun, interesting thing about this too is someone asked Logan Couture about this, and Logan Couture was so pissed off he wouldn't even talk about it. So there was obviously a big fight that went on, I think, between Pavelski and a couple people. Like I think I mean, he loved Pavelski as a captain and a player, but I think there were a couple people in the Sharks that were just pissed at him.
Yeah, it seems that way because we all thought he would go back. I do want to mention there's a question in the chat room. Zach Bateman was very brave and said, any chance Florida offer sheets Laine or Connor? The answer is no. 0 chance, and Kyle Connor already signed a deal. So no. Didn't he sign a deal already?
No. Connor has.
Okay. Still no.
Yeah.
Not going to happen, no. Yeah.
Honestly,
no, nada.
The only one that there's a remote chance that gets an offer. See, this is the problem with the offer sheet, and that people don't realize. A team, and Kevin Allen said this on the show a while back, a team has to make an offer that is so onerous that the team that has the player won't match it. But the problem is that the team that offered it then gets it.
Yeah, Shark a few weeks early.
And they lose 4 first-round picks on top of it. So that's why Mitch Marner, Sebastian Aho, more than likely, Kachuk, Laine, Rantanen, none of them are getting offer sheets. It's a bunch of bull.
That's a reasonable question.
Well, thanks for transitioning into the. Of course, the narwhal has returned. To talk about Thomas's question in the chat room, which is that would the Islanders make a offer for Thomas Laine? I mean Patrick Laine. That Patrick Laine wants out of Winnipeg.
No,
they won't. Lou won't do it. No.
All right.
Remember. Brian Burke.
You're gonna move it again.
Brian Burke was weaned at the knee of Lou Lamoriello.
Right.
So if Brian Burke is not, basically put up a challenge to Kevin Lowe for a barn fight because he offer sheeted Dustin Penner, Lou Lamoriello's not going down that road. Lou Lamoriello is interested in paying players as little as he possibly can. He's not going to go out and try to sign somebody for $13-14 million a year. It goes against his code. It's not happening.
So Andrew is asking, Isles have lots of cap space. Do they take someone off of another team's hands that a team doesn't want? Yes, that is entirely possible.
Yeah, that's very possible.
If someone like Zucker, they can't sign him because they've overspent on Lee, that's a possibility. There's definitely a possibility with Chris Kreider if, the Rangers say, hey, he doesn't want to wait out a deal here and he's going to go. I think the Islanders would want him. I think there's a few players like that.
Russ, give me your opinion on this. And Karine, the Canadiens just tweeted out that they've signed.
Yeah, I saw that. Riley Barber. Yes.
Riley Barber to a 1-year deal. Now, Russ, a few years ago, we thought Riley Barber was somebody who could make the NHL. I hadn't given up hope, but he seemed to fall like sort of in the mix.
I think he's the Jordan Binnington of forwards. I do. I think he got lost in the mix there, and I honestly think that he could have a chance at making the Montreal roster because Riley Barber does a lot of things right, and I could see Claude Julien really liking him. So
that's not usually a good thing when Claude Julien really likes someone. That means that he's good without the puck. Yay!
Yeah, but Riley Barber is a very smart player, so I think there could be a role for him. I do.
Hearing a little bit. I'm going to mention this name so he gets mentioned shortly, but I'm hearing a little bit more about Robin Lehner and Columbus.
Makes sense. I mean, they need somebody.
Well, they re-signed.
That would make sense. Yeah.
They re-signed Korpisalo this morning, and the indication was that they were going to go with Korpisalo and Elvis.
Do you really believe everything Yarmo says? Come on.
No, I don't. That's why I'm mentioning it.
I do like Elvis a lot.
Yeah, but he's
not this year.
Yeah, not this year. I mean, he's come over from Latvia. I think he needs a little bit of North American sort of tuning up.
Okay, let him play for the Monsters. Let Korpisalo be the backup. Let Leonard be the starter, or Torts will lose his mind.
I haven't heard much more of a build-up for a goaltender who was essentially sight unseen since Jonas the Monster Gustafsson.
This is Endless wants to know this. Will the Hawks go after Anders Lee?
No, they don't have the money.
I don't think they do either. I agree.
They have that kind of money.
I agree.
So, and I don't think they could dump somebody quickly enough. Even Nisimov only gets them halfway there. So, no, I don't think there's anybody. So, someone asked right now, like, who's the best signing?
Nyquist.
Nyquist, yeah.
Might be the best signing, yeah.
$5 million is reasonable.
It really is.
Yeah, so it's not just the
and honestly, of course, because I tend to go to the negative every once in a while. What do I think is the worst signing? I think it's Bobrovsky. I think $10 million is insane.
Well, let's face it, the Panthers had the Luongo contract, the end of that, and they thought, well, he retired. Now we need to have a big albatross contract for a goalie. Yeah, we should do that. Okay, let's sign Bob for 7 years and 10.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
the first contract is Richard Panik. I'm still going to say they're not even going to get $2.5 million worth out of him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's too hard to tell right now because there's so many. As far as the winners, it's too close to winners to do winners and losers. Still too many crazy scenarios out there. We haven't seen what happens with Anders Lee yet. We don't know what's going to happen.
Our buddy Greg Wyshynski just said waiting on Lou Lamoriello to announce Vladimir Malakoff and Dan McGillis.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, it's hard to not laugh at that.
Yeah, no, that's true.
The LA Kings had made an initial offer to UFA defenseman Ben Hutton, but the offer was rejected. So that means Ben Hutton's getting multiple interests from a number of teams. I know that Toronto was interested. Lawrence Gilman, the Leafs assistant GM, was in Vancouver when Hutton was drafted in 2012. He was made a UFA when they didn't qualify him. He was making close to $3 million. I mean, if he comes in under 2, there might be teams that are interested. But yeah. I'm not sure how good of a defenseman he is, Russ. It's like I think he's got size, but he doesn't really play with it.
He's okay. Like he's just an okay average to below average.
A full no trade clause in the first 2 years of the deal for Joe Pavelski, modified no trade in year 3 due to the expansion draft.
What else could he have in his favor? Seriously.
Yeah, he got everything he wanted. He got, he didn't. I don't remember what he was making with San Jose, but it was I think it was a little over 7 actually. But
All right.
Go ahead.
Back.
Oh jeez.
There is a rumor out there that the Edmonton Oilers have discussed things with Zach Werenski, Columbus Blue Jackets. So I don't know. I think that the Jackets would definitely
match
anything. But
that's a pointless gesture.
That is pointless. They're loaded with money.
Yeah, like okay,
fine.
I'm gonna
pointless gesture. Forget it.
Yeah, harpoon that damn thing.
It is pointless.
They've got $30 million in cap space. They could offer him 20% in cap, and Columbus could still
step on the throat of that thing. I mean,
yeah,
I know.
Get a harpoon.
I know. Hold on one second.
By the way, Russ, even though it's going off the hockey page just for a second, you have to look at the video that Stephen A. Smith posted yesterday after all these players went to the different teams and not to the Knicks.
Yeah.
It's 3 minutes of anger, of just crestfallen anger.
I'm sure.
Oh, it was so beautiful. It was cathartic.
Yeah, Stephen A. opens him up. He makes plenty of money, so I don't care that he opens himself up for criticism. I don't.
See, I like hearing this stuff. From my compatriot Lance Hornby of the Toronto Sun, from Jason Spezza. He trains in the offseason with John Tavares, so that there's another connection. I was looking forward for a good fit, hopefully getting us over the edge and winning a cup. I'll be a complimentary player to the young players, play in different spots, most likely on both special teams. So you're talking about him being 4th line center, face-off specialist on the PK, on the power play, second power play. He's gonna be a jack of all trades.
Yeah,
that's
no question. I mean, that's true. I don't know who asked it, but somebody asked, what do I think of the Hawks prospect defenseman? And I think it's really good. I think between Vlasic, Jokiharju, I don't even think Boquist will be a prospect anymore. He'll be playing for them this year. Jokiharju might. And then Ian Mitchell. they're in really good shape. And that's not even mentioning Chad Chris, who still could be a really decent player. We haven't really seen what Chad Chris can do yet, but I like his skating and his puck moving. So he's another one that, like, he had 4 points for 9 games for Rockford yesterday. And so they have defensemen. They do. And Panda, please bite into that thing.
You want Panda to take down the narwhal?
I do.
and they bought themselves some time by acquiring Mata and acquiring Duchene, so they don't have to rush those defensemen. So I mean, now Duchene, I guess, is going to be out to start the season with recovering from shoulder surgery. But their big concern on the blue line is not the young guys; it's the old guys. It's whether Keith and Seabrook can still play effectively as their skills start to dwindle.
Yeah.
The Ottawa Senators are about to announce a new third jersey. Any minute now. Mm-hmm.
Belmar, former Flyer, to Colorado, 2 years, $1.8 million AAV.
Ooh,
Colorado is getting the right guys here. They're doing so well. Belmar is such a valuable player.
I know, he really is. It's you're right.
Belmar, Donskoy.
He will be missed in Vegas, and
Vegas couldn't sign him. I mean, Vegas is up against it.
Oh, I know, but he was a really big part of Vegas's success in the first year. Honestly, he was. I mean, not scoring wise, but just for all the little things he does. Russ is right. He's one of those guys you want to have a Belmar on your team.
You do.
There were some reports yesterday and early this morning that the Leafs have been getting a lot of calls on Kadri, and the Leafs, it's been all them getting calls from other teams, not them shopping them, and the Leafs are basically telling them they're not trading them. Now that could be, they could be playing hard to get, but I don't think so. Again, once the Marner deal is signed, whenever that is, and some people think it's going to last into the summer, and won't you be just enthralled with it? Marner watch for the entire month of August. And
I can't wait. I'm going to put a big poster of Mitch Marner behind me.
Yeah. Jeez. Right. Hugging the narwhal?
Yeah, Mitch Marner, the 14-year-old boy that he looks like. Put him behind there and just perfect.
But I still think that once they sign Marner, that there's a genuine possibility that they make a deal for a defenseman and that Nylander is involved. Maybe not. I mean, I still think that.
No, I mean, it's possible. I mean, but as of now, like, we said before, expiration dates, but as of now, Nylander's off the market, Zucker's off the market. So, I don't know. I think I'm really wondering about, Yeah, like there is a lot of talk about, like, they do have to sign Rantanen in Colorado. That's their big issue.
Right, and the moves that they're making aren't eating up enough cap. They also have a ton of other restricted free agents, not just Rantanen.
Not just him. I mean, they have a lot of. They don't have many forwards signed at all. So
yeah, I mean, Burakovsky, Comfer, Kerfoot, Rantanen, Tanev. So it's 5.
Somebody asked what number Panarin's going to wear for the Rangers. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 68.
Well, he was 9. He was 9 in Columbus, right?
I know, but 9's retired.
Right. Maybe it'd be 99.
99, they won't give out either.
Maybe it'd be 90.
Yeah.
90?
90. 19. Is there a 19 on the Rangers?
Sounds like Thomas Sandstrom back in the day, but I don't know.
No, he was 28.
He was 28. Yeah, you're right. Now that I can picture it.
And it's sad that I know that.
No, but you're right. Once you said it, I was like, yep, I could picture it.
It's just the trap that is my mind.
Yeah.
Jordan Schwartz signs with the Ottawa Senators. Another big news there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, someone says Fast is number 19 on the Rangers. All right.
There you go. But yes, we could give up the number if you really.
Yeah, when you make that kind of money, I think you could probably buy it from Fast if you wanted to.
Jason Rohrbeck asked, right now the Flyers seem to have too many defenders. Where can you see him looking at for deals? Like, again, we all think Gostisbehere could get traded. I don't know if he is getting traded. maybe Robert Hagg gets traded last minute here, and that's maybe what happens, because otherwise they're just probably going to hold on what they had. They bought out Schlemko, so you know. There you go. I give up on you.
About Pat Maroon, but I'm not. Oh yeah, 3 years, $15 million to Calgary.
Okay.
Pat Maroon got $5 million a year.
We knew he wasn't going back to Philly. Like I that was an E5 for me.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what Calgary's cap situation is right now, but when you have James Neal in that boat anchor of a contract, you're going out and signing Pat Maroon for $5.
Yeah, actually, Matt's right. Fast is 17. He's not 19. We're all getting crazy here.
All right.
I'm gonna have to sign off, guys. I've got a very impatient dog here.
Oh yeah, thanks. I got one on my feet too. Thanks very much.
Yeah, Corinne. Thank you.
Great seeing you. A little change here. So Leonard and Columbus are not talking now. They have broken that off.
Yeah, whatever.
No, but the whatever is, where is Robin Leonard going to play?
Somebody will come and grab him, maybe even the Islanders, for an extra year, because the Islanders need to do some things. So maybe Lou decides, all right, you know what, we'll meet halfway.
Well, wasn't there rumor about Varlamov and the Islanders?
No, that is coming. That's going to happen. I was told flat out.
It's not a rumor. It's going to happen, Mike.
Then Leonard's not.
That's why I'm saying that the Leonard thing. That's why
I know, but you never know. Things can change. You know,
I mean, things can change, of course. You know, it might still end up there.
Yeah, and the fallback is Thomas Greiss.
Right. Who we know is outstanding.
But basically, right now, if you're an Islander fan, you could just go right back into your pool and wait it out. Because
if you're an Islanders and Knicks and Jets and Mets fan, you're in deep trouble right now.
You're not feeling great today. You're not.
What does it mean when your mouse just stops working altogether? I'm trying to sit here trying to what the heck, man?
That's bad. That means you need batteries.
You know, I gotta charge it. Yay. Where the hell is it? I don't know where my thing is.
You know, it's pretty sad. I put off getting a new phone because I've had this phone for 2 years. I put off getting a new phone. Like I waited until after the draft and after July 1st because there's gonna be so much stuff. I didn't want to have to deal with the problems that you usually have when you get a new phone, like you install an app and it doesn't work, or your address book gets all screwed up. It's like I purposely put, and my phone just died.
Why 2 years? What do you do to your phone, Mike?
I use it constantly.
Seems like the Buffalo weather is bad for you.
Marcus Granlund with Edmonton.
Oh gosh.
Well,
I can't.
Something. It just. I want to mention this because I think Eck will fight me on this, so I'm going to mention it. Earlier today, I put that the end of the world is near because I put on a share on my Facebook account that Air Supply is touring.
Come on.
Oh, they tour every year. I like them. I mean, I've seen them a couple times down here in Atlantic City.
Like them. Of course you do.
Every woman in the world to me, Russ. Come on.
Actually, so Yoni Niemanen gets big points because he said, "Are you all out of love, Russ?" No way.
No. Come on now.
And of course you like Air Supply. What is wrong with you?
Air Supply is classic chick music, man. You go out with your girl to Air Supply concert. That's good stuff.
Thankfully, my wife/girlfriend doesn't like that crap.
Yeah, well, Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. I saw Tim McGraw this weekend.
Interesting.
I went to see Tim McGraw. Somebody had extra tickets. We went over there, and it was fantastic.
I saw Tim McGraw's stepbrothers because when they did the '69 Mets celebration, they sent members of Tug McGraw's family, and Tim wasn't there, so now it makes sense he was touring. Yeah,
Tim McGraw is touring, and
I'd rather see Faith Hill. Sorry.
Oh no, I know a lot of people said that, but no, I can't use my mouse.
And no, Tim asking me, or I hope I pronounced that right.
Tim McGraw. I mean, I'll tell you what, country musicians, they know how to put on shows. There's no ways about it. Like they are as pro as could be.
They're not as good guitar players as they think they are, though. That's the problem.
Well, no, but they have like 7 guitar players on stage.
I know.
The only ones, the only you could put them under the country category, but I would say they're more bluegrass. The bluegrass guitar players are like guys like Ricky Skaggs and Jerry Douglas. They're
better.
They're as good as rock guitarists.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there's some. I mean, there are country musicians that are every bit as good as rock musicians. Trust me, there are.
No, but some of the guitarists, like X said, they have to have 3 or 4 of them. He's
they have so many guitar players on this stage with him. It was crazy.
Yeah. So Endless asked me, do I think the Rangers are now a playoff team? I still think they're a playoff bubble team because I still need to see what Adam Fox looks like on the blue line for him, how all this is going to work out, who the other centers are. But I think they're a lot closer than last year. So obviously they're not a lottery team anymore. They're not.
I'll be right back.
Even if Lundqvist doesn't look great, Georgiev gave them enough where they're going to be a lot more competitive.
Okay, this is probably a Marlies. I would assume it's a Marlies signing, but the Leafs signed Kenny Agostino.
I like Kenny Agostino. I hope he's not a Marlies signing because he's on my fantasy team and he got me like 30 points, I think, with the Canadiens last year. He better get called up.
Now he played 27 games with the Devils last year, played 36 games with the Canadiens.
Yeah.
So
I think he's going to play a little bit for the Leafs, Mike. I think he's a very good skater. He really is, and he actually can get you some points.
Well, I mean, maybe he's part of the because we know that there's going to be a taxi squad here. I mean, they have Nick Batan, who's is slated to be the guy that Mike Babcock scratches every night. And Agostino, I mean, right now it looks like their fourth line would be something like Mason Marchment, Jason Spezza, and Trevor Moore.
Yeah.
But they're adding some veteran. He's 27 years old, and as you said, he can skate. So
he's a really good skater. He is.
So he I don't know. I've seen him play, obviously, but I don't know if he's a feisty guy or if he's.
Oh, he's feisty. He was really feisty in college. He is feisty. I do want to mention. Matt says. Country music guitarists are insane. Matt, you are insane. Unless you're talking about Roy Clark, I don't know what you're talking about.
Buck Owens.
Roy Clark was better than Buck Owens, Mike. Come on. He was.
You just harpooned the narwhal.
I know.
Good.
I can't do anything. I can't update anything. I can't stop this without.
You can't even talk on the mic. We don't even have a mic.
All right, I know. I can't stop my computer. I can't post anything. So I think this is a good time to stop the show.
Jimmy Page is not the best guitarist, Philly. Sorry.
No.
Just because he puts his cigarette on the tip of the guitar doesn't make him the best.
A big trade here. D'Angelo Russell has gone to the Golden State Warriors. Oh, sorry, wrong.
They've given up there was news that somebody was giving up whoever's number 72 right now on the Panthers. There's a 72 on the Panthers is giving up his number.
Whatever.
Yeah. Here is the ultimate irony. Before we can finish with this, Eugene Melnick during the year, in his ability to try to troll the Toronto Maple Leafs, said the Maple Leafs have no depth and could never win a cup with their terrible defense. Well, guess what? Now Eugene Melnick has 1/3 of that defense playing for his team.
That's right.
Okay. Matt is now bringing up that Thomas brings up Vince Gill and Keith Urban.
Vince Gill.
Hold on. Keith Urban looks great. And he's a pretty good guitar.
No, he is crazy talented. They're right.
I mean, no. But when you're starting to talk about guys like Eric Clapton, guys like Steve Howe, like they're not in that class. They're just not.
Yeah, Gary Clark is a
Jimi Hendrix. Are you going to tell me that he's Jimi Hendrix now? Like, come on.
Gary Clark is a good guitar player. Zach Brown is a good guitar player. I'm not just we're talking about rock gods.
We're not talking about great lead guitarists. We're talking about very good guitarists. That's the difference.
I got my mouse back. Thank goodness. No, but we can't. You can't really compare these. I mean, you got to remember this: that there are 10,000 people trying to be Keith Urban. Okay, so Keith Urban is the best of those. He's really good. I mean, there are so many country musicians out there. I mean, if you walk down Nashville, you'll see 100 of them. Right? There's tons of them, and so the best of the best are always incredible. They just are.
Drew just tried to say that Keith Urban is the Frank Vitrano of guitarists, but I disagree.
All right, we really should get out of here, guys. This is fun as always. We enjoy And we're hardly done, obviously.
How can Hendricks be the best when there's Brad Paisley, Drew? How could he? There's no way Brad Paisley can compare to Hendricks. There's no way Keith Urban is not better than Hendricks. Vince Gill can do anything Hendricks can. Come on, guys.
I mean, I could just leave you guys here and you talk about
it's just such garbage.
I agree. We need to have a show, though.
Well, we'll have time during the summer.
Doug Wilson just released his statement on Joe Pavelski, right?
Yes. Bye. That's
from being a 7th-round draft pick in 2003 to serving as our captain of our team for the last 4 seasons. Joe Pavelski's. But it says this sounds like a. I should do this. I should do this with like music in the background.
You should be with sad music. You should
like a Ken Burns documentary. Like a Ken Burns documentary. I write you, Clara, from the field, from being a 7th-round draft pick in 2003 to serving as captain of our team for the last 4 seasons. Pavelski's place in Sharks history is firmly cemented, and he will be sorely missed. Joe led by example, not only as a player, but as a person. And the impact he had on this franchise and his teammates will be felt for years to come. Under a cap system, these extremely difficult separations are a reality. And unfortunately, we could not find common ground on dollars and term to keep Joe in San Jose. However, like many other players around the NHL, Joe has earned the right to become a free agent. We respect his decision and want to thank Joe, his wife Sarah, and his son Nate for 13 wonderful seasons. They will always be part of the San Jose Sharks family. There you go. That's from Doug Wilson.
No, listen, Doug Wilson is as classy as they come.
That's classy.
It's great. I mean, I really appreciate the guy. Not everybody would do that.
Yeah. As we've seen today, who else has, I mean, it's like.
I was asked to play this. Everybody in South Philly's dancing. We know why. all I can say is this. They didn't have to do a move. They just won the Stanley Cup. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
They didn't have to do anything.
Laura Branigan, rest in peace.
All right, we will see you guys. So we'll be back again on tomorrow. It feels like it's Friday because my whole life has been like geared around this trade. It feels like it's Friday, but it's actually not. It's Monday. We're about to start the longest week of our lives, kids. We're about to start the longest week of our lives. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we have plenty. And I'm going to be continually updating the rumor tracker and everything like that on Hockey Buzz throughout the rest of the day and tomorrow. So there you go. And we'll just keep doing what we're doing and we've got trades, and then we have the RFA thing to work out. So we're far from finished here. I feel like we had the draft. Now you have the UFAs, and now we have the trade / RFAs. I feel like we're halfway there.
Yeah, there we go. I feel you're right.
Getting these RFAs signed is not going to be an easy task, and especially if it'll be really a lot to talk about if they do these 3 or 4 to 5 year deals.
Say this in before we end the show. The Timo Meier contract was not good news for the RFA class.
Nope, that's true.
Well, it is good news in terms of the length of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But the money was not good news. If these players all take, if they all want 2 or 3 year bridge deals, they're going to be around that $6 million. It's not going to be 8 or 9. They're not going to get overpaid like and I'm not saying he got overpaid, but I'm being paid a salary commensurate to an 8-year deal like Austin Matthews did on a 5-year deal. It's going to be $6-7 million for those players. It's not going to be breaking the bank.
I was just asked, are the Panthers a playoff team? They are indeed a playoff team. You can take that to the bank.
Yeah.
All right. So who's not? Who's not? We'll have to.
We'll talk about that another day.
Islanders.
That's something to. There's our teaser. Okay, moving forward. Remember, without the buzz, folks, it is just hockey. This is all just hockey. So just try to enjoy yourself and don't freak out when things don't happen. Remember, we'll talk to you soon. Take care, guys.
Harpoon that narwhal.